I'm not quite sure why I'm here or what I'm doing, but there's a reason. I don't like Facebook, and I don't like the internet. The library blocked my password. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you?
I think that's a part of leadership, is to have some of the guys that have gone before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I, too, have been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
This is absolutely lit. This is lit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dark Times with Dark Match Steve. I'm Dark Match Steve. I am your twink. Sit back, relax, enjoy the Edge session tonight. What are we getting into tonight, ladies and gentlemen? What am I edging you with for 5 hours, 10 hours maybe? Well, let's see. Let me read my caption because I honestly forgot. Change My Mind is back with Steven Crowder. Holy shit, we're in a bad algorithm tonight. Yeah, let's get this over with. So, yeah, Steven Crowder finally brought back Change My Mind. I don't know what it is. Something about watching Charlie Kirk bleed out in front of thousands of kids is, for some reason, that's inspired other people to want to go out and do more public events debating random people out in public. Very strange, but I like it. I do like it. I'm excited to see Crowder back at it. Not that I agree with him. I probably agree with Charlie Kirk on more stuff than I do Steven Crowder. One thing I do like more about Crowder than Charlie Kirk is I like the way that Steven Crowder talks down to women. I really do like that. Being that I'm a gay man, I'm a little bit of a misogynist myself. I like to see a woman get talked down to. Hey, watch it. Go put some gloves on and give the dog flea medicine. It's your dog. I don't know. I like it. I'm kidding, guys. Everybody relax. I'm just, hold on. I'm packing a bong here. Everybody just chill out. God damn. All right. Where are we tonight? Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, also known as X to autistic people. So wherever you're at, get in the chat. I got you all in one spot here. It's basically like a little chat orgy we got here. We got every destination that we're streaming at. I got you all in one spot in a little fucking like melting pot soup. Delicious. So yeah, what's Steven Crowder? The left is violent. This is the topic for the Steven Crowder, and I'll be in the chat in a minute, guys. Let me get you guys up here. There we go. So as soon as you guys keep chatting, you'll be up here on the display. So it's the left is violent, which, guys, this is look, I don't get Fed vibes or double secret Mossad agent vibes from Steven Crowder, but I am highly, highly suspicious of anybody who is an influencer on the right, that any kind of conservative, Republican, right-leaning influencer type of person, talking head, whatever, that is actually utilizing what happened to Charlie Kirk to further push this your side versus my side false dichotomy bullshit. I'm suspicious of anyone that's using this as an opportunity to sort of, one would argue, further push political divide. in the country. I'm sorry. I think, guys, the FBI is lying. I don't know what really happened to Charlie Kirk. It's not, listen, it is not my job to figure out what happened to Charlie Kirk, even though I'm pretty sure since we've been looking into it over here at Dark Times with Dark Matt Steve, and by we, I mean me and the chat, people have helped. But bunch of different people have contributed to us sort of like forming our own conclusion over here. So, but I think even though it's not my responsibility, I'm not a detective, I'm not a real journalist, I'm just a stoned streamer. Gay. I'm gay too. I should be sucking somebody off right now, but instead, I've been having to do Charlie Kirk research because the FBI is lying. None of it makes fucking sense. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that a bunch tonight because we've honestly gone so. I mean, I've been keeping you guys up to date with shit. We've been going balls deep in the Charlie Kirk stuff, and whatever. Go watch another stream. One of my past streams if you want to know how we're on the page that we're on here. But anyway, guys, yeah. So I'm suspicious of people pushing this. I don't think the FBI story, I think it's bullshit. I think Candace Owens has been actually bringing up a lot of really good points and rebuttals to the FBI's narrative. And we have ourselves. I mean, guys, I posted the video and it's the same video that has seemed more and more reliable as time goes on. I posted that the day after Kirk met his demise. And, it seems, like I said, it's more and more every day. The exploding lapel mic thing, it doesn't fucking make sense. People were talking about him getting shot through his chair. Literally, guys, there's a sticker on the bottom of the chair Charlie Kirk was sitting on. And some crazy tinfoil hat schizo people are saying it's a bullet hole in the bottom of the chair. And it's like, it's the dumbest. I'm telling you guys. But anyway, bottom line is FBI's full of shit. I'm pretty sure there's ulterior motives to all of this shit happening. And I don't pretend to know what the full real story is. But bottom line, we know the FBI is full of shit. And there's different people in different positions that are pushing this as an organic political attack that needs to be reacted to as if it's an organic political attack. Their side attacked our side. Now we have to do this. And it's a joke. So there's probably either pushing a civil war or, more laws, speech laws and bullshit. Let's hope, it would be very interesting to see what happens if they actually, put forward a bill that gets signed into law that says it's illegal to compare Donald Trump to Hitler. What if they actually, because I don't see that as like an impossibility. It's a very realistic possibility. What if they actually pass a law that says that? Are they going to go back and arrest J.D. Vance because he compared Donald Trump to Hitler before he was the vice president VP pick? You think they're going to do that, guys? I don't know. We'll see what happens. It sounds like a sticky situation. Anyway, let me get through the chat. Say hello to everybody. We'll get started with the Steven Crowder video. Dutch Duke's up in here. Berto Perez. What's up, Berto? What's up, guys? The Duke himself. We are in the presence of royalty. Don's in here. What's up, Donald Ferguson? Steve Jackson. Gay. You came to the right place. Panda, welcome. Bob Cook, welcome. What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for joining us. Scott Starbird's up in here. Michael Earl. I told you guys, wherever you're at, get in this chat. Why are you guys not in the chat? I got my favorite hat. Get in the chat. All right, let me pull up this video. The algorithms they absolutely have my balls in a vice tonight. Okay, let me get you guys on this tab with me. I packed Berto Perez. What's up, lover? Yeah, I packed my bong. I'm about to hit this bitch and make fun of Steven Crowder for about 2 hours. So, oh, that's the wrong tab. Here we go. Okay. So I scrolled through some of this. Scott Starbird played some of this on his stream, and I literally had to. I was doing other shit, and I had to keep watching Scott's stream. And like normally, a lot of us do this where we'll put a stream on and kind of like listen some and be able to like do some dishes while someone's talking about something, and then if they're playing something you need to watch, you'll watch for a minute and then get back to whatever. And like, I had to be glued to the screen today because every time he started playing the Steven Crowder stuff, I had to mute it. And because I don't like to spoil when I'm going to watch a video with you guys on here. I don't like to spoil it. So yeah, it was a bitch. I had to stay locked in on my screen to wait to see it when Scott Starbird would start talking again, and then I'd hit the volume back up. That was a pain in the ass, Scott. But it's worth it for you, lover. Thank you. All right, so Steven Crowder. Let's see if someone comes up and debates him about how lefties are nicer to their wives. Let's see if they bring up personal stuff. Let's see if Steven Crowder's wife comes up and debates him. Hey, I got remarried. I'm married to a leftist, and he treats me much better than you did.
The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence?
Ay. What'd I tell you guys? I didn't even, oh my God. Guys, this is what I'm telling you, man. What can I say about Steven Crowder? I'm hoping that in deep down in Steven Crowder's brain, and possibly Nick Fuentes too, I hope they actually realize that this is a suspicious situation, and it's not an easy, it's not a clean, easy explanation to just say, "Oh yeah, the FBI is right. This is just regular political violence. Nothing weird to see here." Bro, Nick Fuentes, I'm especially suspicious of Nick Fuentes right now, saying that he doesn't think Israel's involved in this. He literally blames Israel for everything. And then you've got the fucking, all the fucking shit. Charlie Kirk had been turning up. We could get to some of that. Well, maybe I'll save it for tomorrow. We'll deep dive into recent Charlie Kirk developments and stuff. But dude, according to the stuff Candace Owens has been sharing, some of it verified, some of it not. Dude, there is apparently recently, within like the last 24 hours, Candace Owens has dropped some info about how Charlie Kirk was basically in these internal messages and stuff between him and other Turning Point USA people. Charlie Kirk was basically saying he's done backing Israel. This is according to some, and it's not just Candace Owens. There's other people that are agreeing with this and verifying it. I mean, again, I like my evidence to be a little bit more solid than people verifying what other people said about other people and da-da-da-da-da. But, anyway, it's the Nick Fuentes stuff is suspicious. And again, yeah, I'm hoping Steven Crowder will say all that he can verify is the way that the left is reacting to this, what happened to Charlie Kirk. That is violent and disgusting, the way people are, condoning what happened to him. But I don't think it was a leftist that actually did this.
You seem so confident on the Hortmans, but not Charlie Kirk.
I was just thinking about your question.
If that doesn't constitute political violence that could be answered in the affirmative immediately, of course, what would?
Hey, YouTube, what you're about to watch is a new segment.
Oh, no, Scott, we're good, bro. Hell no, it's all good. Oh, well, I see you probably don't want to watch. I think you watched this whole thing. I haven't watched this yet. But I think you implied you had watched the full video. I know you just saved a few clips to play on your stream from it, but no, it's all good.
Called Change My Mind. Welcome back to Change My Mind. It's been a while. This is the place where we rationalize, we reason our positions on controversial topics. When I created Change My Mind in 2017, I had one goal in mind, and that was to shine a light on the institutions that had failed Americans. Often students propagandized by the educational system, as well as legacy media.
Mr. Trump's once again defending comments he made about the white supremacists and neo-Nazis.
There were very fine people on both sides.
The president's statement that both sides are responsible for the violence in Charlottesville.
It was designed to bring genuine dialogue to what had become an impenetrable echo chamber dominated by progressive professors, administrators, student leadership, along with the complicit media and big tech establishment. To put it simply, the kind of dialogue that evaded all of cable news.
You know what is good with Steven Crowder? At least one thing I've seen that he does often when he's dealing with these other people in public, debating them on this shit. He proactively gets a lot of his citations ready, and they're actually he'll have them printed out that he can actually show people on paper, like, oh, this is from this website. This is a nonpartisan source, and this is just whatever. And he's normally really good about that too. Oh, Kenny Powers is up in here. What's up, bro? Welcome. EMC. Wait. Oh, Eatmore's in here. What's up, bro? Welcome, guys. How's it going? Just checking out some of the Steven Crowder. We might go through this whole deal. I'm going to speed this up too, because I ain't going to sit here for an hour and a half just watching this shit. I mean, that's probably going to be how long I'm streaming for. But I'd like to speed it up. Let's see. 1.5. How bad is this going to be?
I know you said that.
Oh, God.
Being hyperbolic, let me respond. I'm not being a white man as an insult.
That just shows you the ridiculousness of all of it.
And so, nearly a decade later, with billions of plays, countless discussions, inspired student iterations, one meme of the year, and yes, even a few changed minds later,
Somewhat changed you.
Change My Mind has grown far bigger than I ever initially anticipated. And with that came pushback, controversy, increasing hostility, and yes, straight up violence.
You piece of living garbage ass dumpster fire.
It got to the point where security became a serious issue. And so I pulled back. Now, given recent events, however, I felt led, compelled even, to bring it back. Voices like ours, and I mean ours, can't be silenced. And I say this to you watching on the left, made me do this. I didn't necessarily want to, and everyone told me that this, in today's climate, could not be done unless I took unbelievable precautions, unless it was absolutely kept a secret until mere hours before the event as a pop-up, unless I literally brought an army with me and bulletproofed the entire radius, which is exactly what we did.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like, the lengths you have to go through just so you don't get killed by Mossad in America. It's crazy, guys.
And so today, for the first time in many years, Change My Mind returns, and back to one of the places where it all began. Southern Methodist University.
BW, what's up, bro? We watching a doc? I guess the first 5 minutes of this is basically a documentary on Change My Mind, but I get it. He hasn't done this in a while. It is weird. It's such a reverse psychology type of thing. Like Steven Crowder, at least according to this, and this isn't something I was conscious of as it all was happening. I don't follow Crowder that closely, but according to him, what he's saying right now is it got violent and risky and whatever for them to be doing the Change My Mind stuff, and there were fights and whatever. And so they quit doing it. But then when Charlie Kirk, someone gets assassinated, there's about 30 different angles of them getting killed. People see that happen. Steven Crowder, who quit doing these because people were violent, he sees someone else get killed. He goes, you know what? I have to go back out there. In fact, it's so violent, I need to go back now. I quit because it was a little bit violent. Now it's way too violent. I got to get back out there just so the violence gets dialed back. People just start throwing shakes and stuff like that, the bike locks and stuff, you know, the good old days. Getaway car is ready. Bro, Steven Crowder, he probably knows. He's like, look, I have not declined a $150 million offer from Benjamin Netanyahu. They don't have snipers looking for me right now. So he probably knows he's good to go.
In Dallas, Texas. Today's subject is plain and simple. The left is violent. Will anybody be able to change my mind?
Kenny Powers, this is what I'm talking about. I got to get out there. That could have been me. Like, what? Fuck.
Thank you, Christina, for sitting down. Steven. Yes, okay. So I'll take that. I mean, you're not maybe super familiar with what we do with these this series. Let me just kind of clarify what it is. First, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not gotcha. It's not clickbait. This is not meant to be, or it won't be used to clip into some kind of a dunk or something just foment people espousing the same rhetoric on one side. It will be uploaded contextually in its entirety, where hopefully we have a productive discussion. Yes. We rationalize our positions, reason them on controversial topics. Before I get to the premise of today, could you do me a favor just so we can find some common ground? Yeah. This is what's being cited right now quite a bit. Just the definition of political violence. I want to make sure we both agree on it.
Political violence are criminal complaints, indictments, and court records looking for crimes that seek a socio-political change or to communicate to outside audience.
And I'll summarize it. That's the technical description from the source cited. Yeah. It's violence as a tool being used toward a political end. In other words, just because you vote Democrat or because you vote Republican, if you accidentally hit someone with your car, commit manslaughter, that's not political violence. If you vote Democrat, but let's say you go out and run someone over.
Well, you know what? Honestly, okay, I don't know where Steven's going to go. I have not watched any of this in any kind of context. I've just seen little snippets, and I'm like, okay, I got to save this for the stream. So I'm hoping Steven clarifies that he doesn't. I have no idea what his position is about the FBI narrative and whatnot. I have no idea. I know he hasn't gotten along well with Candace Owens, right? So I could see him talking shit about conspiracy theories just because she's been promoting them. I have no idea what his position is with it, with any of the alternative stuff. But I guess technically by this definition, it is political violence but it's not American political violence. By my theories or the theories we align with here, this is probably political violence, but it's not organic grassroots stuff. This is like political violence done by an agency. That's different.
Because of their politics, that would be political. Do we agree on that?
I think I can agree with you on that.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So the premise today is that particularly today in 2025, by and large, the political violence is coming from the left. It's not proportionate with that on the right. And that's the reason for the security that you see today that's very necessary. And it's a problem that's reaching a boiling point that may not be sustainable. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to change my mind.
I don't know if I can change your mind, because here's the thing. When I see the sign that says the left is violent, and you talked about how it's not proportional, and I would love to see your statistics about that, because we could make the same statement about the right very easily, right? Like we could say that was it just a month or two ago that the Democratic lawmakers were shot, and that was all right. I think our bigger problem is that the
media, Portman's in Minnesota, right?
Right, yeah, because she was a senator and her husband was also killed, and that was done by the right, whatever. But
it wasn't. But continue.
Oh, that wasn't it wasn't a conservative or.
No, that's why I used the example that I did. The person, Vance Bolter, who committed it, specifically said it had nothing to do with politics, and he left a letter reasoning it, saying that Tim Walz had ordered him to carry a hit out on people. So he was very clear that it wasn't in the name of politics. That's someone who happened to be, on some issues, Republican, on some issues, Democrat. He was appointed by a Tim Walz administration. So that was not done in the name of political violence. He said Tim Walz ordered him to assassinate somebody who was out of his mind. But I'd like you to continue with the example.
Sure. And let's say, okay, so he wasn't right. That's fine.
No, it wasn't political violence.
It wasn't political. Oh, it didn't count as political violence.
Based on the definition you agreed to, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is there's so many things happening. It's actually really hard to get all the facts about everything.
Sure.
And our media is when they make these statements or they start to postulate about an event, and it will become political before we've even fully.
Dude, HOA Karen, Don, I don't know. This lady is giving me it might just be the big ears. I don't know. I guess she's probably not lesbian, but the big ears is making me think she's not a standard. Well, I guess a HOA Karen could be a lesbian, but yeah, I don't know. This lady's got some kind of vibes that I can't quite tune into.
fleshed everything out, you know, like.
Can you give me an example?
Well, like, so the shooting that happened at the church yesterday, I haven't seen enough, I haven't seen any media on it yet. I'm curious to know what the media is saying about it. And I want to know if how are they characterizing it?
Yeah, the media isn't characterizing, even I will say this, even on the left and the right, they're not really characterizing that as political violence. Okay. Because it was a guy who really seemed to harbor ill will toward the Mormon church. So it's pretty hard to categorize it as political violence when the targets were largely conservative and the man who carried out the action seems like he might be Republican. But I think we could pick a more clear example, a multitude of them. The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence? You seem so confident on the Hortons, but not Charlie Kirk.
I was just thinking about your question. Yeah, I mean, probably because he was like Turning Point USA is a conservative organization, right? That's meant to try and rally young conservatives and be involved. And so, yeah, I would probably agree that his death was political, or his murder, assassination was politically violent. But I guess I just have a hard time reconciling that with, you know, we can say that the senator and her husband being killed wasn't political, but
I'll tell you exactly why.
You know?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because the express motive of the terrorist who assassinated Charlie Kirk was politics. He killed him because he said he's one of those hateful conservative right-wingers. The rhetoric.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Here we go. Crowder believes the FBI. This is quite literally probably just because he hates Candace Owens. I don't know. No, fuck. He believes the FBI. These are his sources right here. Right? Or is this supposed to be a link to? I'm not using that.
That he espoused, the reason that he killed Charlie Kirk was to take out someone of his political persuasion and make others of his political persuasion afraid to express their opinions. The man who assassinated, which I roundly condemn, Vance Bolter, the Hortmans, did not do it as a means to a political end. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He is not an elected official solely because of his political perspective as a method to instill terror in the populace. Yeah. How do I know? Because the person said it was political violence.
Okay, what if we just don't even have enough information, though? Like, what if it is politically motivated and we just don't have enough to know about it yet?
In that case, we do.
You know, well, not in this particular instance, but I just mean like with the Hortons you mentioned.
Okay, well, let's separate the gray area.
Okay.
Right, that's why I kind of start with the example. Just because you, I would assume, let's say, vote Democrat or Republican, just because you commit a crime doesn't make it political violence. Right. And if we did that, we'd have 90% of the crime being committed on behalf of the Democrat Party because most people in inner cities vote Democrat. I don't consider that to be political violence. People have political beliefs. People commit violence. Sometimes they rob a store because they want money. People who commit political violence do so specifically to instill fear in political opposition. They specifically commit violence as a means to a political end.
Okay.
And when we categorize it that way, it's overwhelmingly coming from the left. We do have the sources here that we make this available, so you can take the QR code. So what would make you, because you seem very confident.
That is his source. There you go.
Importance was political violence, and then it's nuanced with Charlie Kirk. Why?
Oh, I didn't say it was nuanced at all with Charlie Kirk. I agreed with you after considering your question that it wasn't political.
If that doesn't constitute political violence that could be answered in the affirmative immediately, of course, what would? Like, what would be required to say, oh, this is clearly an act of political violence or political terrorism, if not Charlie Kirk?
I agreed that it was political violence, so I'm not sure where this question is coming from.
Well, I'm saying because you came in and pointed to an example that would be in the gray area, the Hortmans, and took a long time to agree with that premise of Charlie Kirk. So what if we don't know enough information? So Charlie Kirk would be very clear left-wing political violence.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Great.
Yes.
So there are more examples of that coming from the left than the right. That's the premise. Yes.
Okay. So you're saying clear examples of political violence.
Yes.
You're using clear
violence carried out as a means to a political end.
So there's clear information, data that shows us that the left is violent or is more violent than the right.
Yes. Not only in crime statistics, but also in the polling after Charlie Kirk's death. Now, I believe that you're discussing this in good faith, and I would assume that you roundly condemn political violence of all stripes.
Of course.
So do I. Just to be clear, I think we both are. That's why we're sitting at a table having a conversation.
Right.
Do you identify as more liberal or conservative?
I like to think I'm moderate because I hold some conservative views.
Scott Starboard, are you still in here? How many people does he talk to? Jesus, this bitch is here for a while. You're boring. Lady, I can tell already, and this is unfortunate. I can tell already Steven Crowder is about to dog walk this woman and explain to her. It's just like, you know, I wish we had, no offense to this lady. Random people that come up, they're just not really prepared. I just listen to how it's gone so far. We've got how many? I'm going to have this sped up, but there's like 25, 30, almost 30 more minutes of this, of him dog walking her. Yikes.
And some liberal views, and I wish we could have a little bit more moderation in our country.
Like sitting down and having discussions.
Exactly. Okay. Things like this.
Because we get killed for it anyway.
Right.
Scott, I would have loved it. Scott says 4. I would have loved if you put 6-7 in the chat. 6-7. 6-7. Oh God. Oh God, I'm retarded now. Okay, Kevin, what's up, bro? How's it going? We're reviewing Steven Crowder. Dude, he's back with the Change My Mind. Scott, yeah, I know your kids have been probably saying that. It's funny.
Yeah. Only the right gets killed for this anyway. You're seeing the one that got.
You mentioned something about that the other night, Scott, and I was like, you know what? That's funny. I've been seeing people say that, and it's wildly retarded.
The reason I stopped doing this for years is because every single time out was a violent attack. Sometimes it was a rock. Sometimes it was a milkshake, could be concrete, acid, chocolate, vanilla. I don't know. Doxing, firebombings, Molotov cocktails. Maya Angelou spoke at SMU only a few years before my first time here. Didn't need this kind of security. And you can see it if you observe your speakers here. And I'll tell you why that is. If you look at the polls post-assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you label yourself as a moderate, those who identify as liberal support political violence at a ratio of 6-1 to conservatives. The YouGov poll said, is political violence acceptable? 77% of conservatives said not at all. Only 38% of those on the left said not at all. 62% of those on the left said somewhat to completely acceptable. We see the same stats after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We see the same stats after the firebombing of the Tesla dealership. And we see the same stats on the opposite side, those on the right roundly condemning political violence. The lowest you'll find is 72. You usually find in the high 80s. You will not find a number that breaks half on the left.
Okay, you mentioned Donald Trump. Can we jump back? Can we jump to that for just a minute?
Donald Trump, sure. I assume we would.
Well, because I thought that guy was a registered Republican, and then he donated the guy who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I'm really terrible at names.
Oh, Crooks.
Yeah, that he was a registered Republican. So would you consider him a act of violence on the right?
I would consider the attempted assassination of a presidential nominee political violence. Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this. There are a lot of people on the right who don't like Donald Trump.
Yes, I do know a few of them. Yeah.
Political violence isn't just Republican Democrat. That's why I say left versus right.
Okay.
Those on the right are more routinely targets, and it's very blatant.
So what? Okay, see, it looks like Steven Crowder is not even gonna like really contend with this. 6-7 is easy laughs at my house. Yeah, I bet. That seems like an easy one. What does? What Steven Crowder was saying? Oh, Bubba Light's in the chat over on the Facebook. What's up, Bubba Light? How's it going, dude? Welcome, welcome. We're just checking out Steven Crowder. He's back with the Change My Mind. Easy answers are hard for some, including libtards. I mean, I don't think. Okay, even when look, guys, I've explained this before too. So the guy that supposedly, you guys know, I don't even really look. I think the Trump assassination attempt was fake. The Pennsylvania thing with Matthew Crooks. I don't think Trump really got shot at. The Charlie Kirk thing was real. That's what a real gunshot wound looks like. Yeah, I don't think the Trump one was real. We don't even have to debate that. But the fact that people were arguing that the guy is right versus left or whatever, man, I voted for, I voted for Trump a few times, and I've never like used my money to donate or to buy any kind of merch or anything like that. I've had a couple different. I have a Trump hat here on my wall. I have like a couple flags. I got a T-shirt at one point that the letters started to come off, so I threw it out. And I have never spent $1 towards helping Donald Trump. I have talked about my support for him on social media and whatever. You can say what you will about what that's worth, but of actual physical dollar bills, I've never put any real money towards supporting Trump. This guy, Matthew Crooks, he was supposedly a registered Republican, but he had apparently donated some money to these Democrat super PACs or something, right? Supposedly. Now, I don't even necessarily believe what they say about him or his past and whatever. The whole thing is fucking weird, and we could talk about it another night. But I just would say I would, if I were Steven Crowder, I would just argue I think the guy was actually a leftist because, look, being registered a Republican or Democrat, there's different reasons for being registered a certain way, especially if you're a Democrat and you want, if you actually got an organized group of people that you already had the Democrat nominee, okay? like if it's going to be like if for Biden's second term, when they thought it was going to be Biden or whatever, they could say, okay, well, Biden is going to be the nominee for his to run for his second term. So we can get a bunch of a bunch of Democrats can register as Republican and then vote in the primary and get a worse candidate. The one that's like, the second most popular, that is maybe less of a threat to Biden or whoever you think is good. There's varying reasons for you to register, however. And also, just if the kid did register as Republican at some point and then just never changed it or whatever, but if he's actually putting his hard-earned money towards a political thing, I would say that kind of tells you more where his heart is, because as much as I've supported Trump, I have not even spent $1 towards something Trump. So I don't know. That's the way I see it. DMS talking 5D election chess, bro. Yeah. Do the political assassins get paid during a government shutdown? Well, I think Israel's government's still functioning. It's not shut down. So yes, the checks are clearing.
People can say he was a registered Republican. That doesn't change the fact that it was an act of political violence carried out against Donald Trump, who's a conservative.
Yes.
Art Hutchison, what's up, lover? Welcome.
Republican. Whatever term you want to use.
Well, I guess there's the argument is the left is violent, and I'm just thinking about this guy's, political background from the perspective. I hear what you're saying, that the right is targeted more often.
Yeah, we're the victims of political violence.
More often, and
much more.
So, would you classify that specific incident as violence of the right or of the left?
Well, the target is the right. The target was Donald Trump. So the net result is the same. We are often the targets of violence.
Yeah, but the left,
including someone who may be a moderate Republican. Yeah, the left is still overwhelmingly violent. And I point to those polls that you can peruse from YouGov, from Reuters, not bastions of conservatism, along with the rhetoric since then. Here's the one thing that you can't point me to. And we can go through the stats. And I know you've probably heard from those on the left that actually there's more right-wing political violence. They're often circulating that right now. I can disabuse you of that notion relatively quickly. I think we find common ground there. You still can't point me to an example that is comparable on the right of Charlie Kirk, someone who was not an elected official, a public figure who was really notable for nothing more than expressing his opinion and having conversations, who was assassinated in cold blood and then gleefully celebrated thereafter from the left. And I hope that as someone who's moderate, you understand why that's so concerning to us on the right. When we host vigils and memorials, and the left is so completely fearless of their own consequences that they kill one of ours and show up to the memorials and vigils and desecrate and vandalize. That is the information that creates the powder keg.
Yeah.
The only off-ramp would have been, hey, we kept saying that people like Charlie Kirk, by the way, he was much more moderate than I am. I am Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun compared to Charlie Kirk, but I will have conversations with anyone. I just want to be very clear. So I know that plenty of people would gleefully celebrate my death, my murder, for doing this exact same thing. The only off-ramp would have been the left saying, look, we've called Donald Trump and his voters and Charlie Kirk and Stephen Crowder and whoever on the right, Tucker Carlson, take your pick, Sargon of Akkad, everyone. Ben Shapiro, we've called them fascists, we've called them Nazis, we said they want to commit a genocide because they don't want to transition children. We've called them racist because they support the police in an era of defund the police. And my God, people out there actually believe it. It's incumbent upon us to tone this down and say, you know what? They're not fascists. We made these people believe that this guy would never relinquish the reins of power. How do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at a ballot box. If I believe that there was an actual government right now that was executing blacks, as the left has said about the police force, if I believed there was a leftist government that was actually fascist, that would jail any and all political dissidents, if I believed that the left was committing a genocide against white conservative Christian men, and if I believed that that administration would never host a democratic election again, I'd be out in the streets with a gun. You have a huge portion of Democrats who believe that about Donald Trump and his voters.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you saying that people believe that. Absolutely.
That's very different between the right and the left, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know, Stephen. It feels like,
dude, this is so cheap, and this is why I say that it's such a sloppy, stupid argument to have, especially when the FBI's evidence and all of this is just so shaky at best, downright insulting in some ways, telling us a 30-06 got stopped by Charlie Kirk's magic bones. I mean, if you believe that, what did I say? I hope the tooth fairy leaves you a 20 for the next tooth you lose. I hope Santa Claus brings you what you want. And yeah, Charlie Kirk has magic bones. There you go. So anyway, I just, this whole argument here, look, I I get why some people, it is stupid. Sometimes it's stupid. The examples or the critiques people use, especially a lot of the time, you'll see these people saying this about Trump being Hitler or a fascist or whatever. You'll see it. It'll be some crazy people yelling at a protest. And there's like 100 of these videos where a right-wing person will try to go up to him and say, hey, why is Donald Trump like Hitler? And they just go, you don't know why? If you don't know why, then you're just fucking stupid. I have to tell you? I have to explain to you why Trump is... Yes, what are you saying he's doing that is fascist? Oh, you're a troll. And they walk away. There's like 100,000 of those videos where they just go, oh, I have to explain to you why he's racist? You don't know? Oh my God. We've all seen that. And that is stupid and irritating, and I feel like it doesn't help things. But the way that some people are going with this, with basically saying like, oh, well, the left says that they think Trump is a fascist and that's what's causing violence. That is bullshit. How are we, what's going to happen? Not necessarily Trump, but think if there's a president after Trump, maybe JD Vance or somebody else, maybe someone that's a Democrat. I don't fucking know or care. Whoever the fuck is next, what if they are actually being fascist? Or they're doing things that are very, very much in a gray area? Are we just going to go, well, we can't talk about how some politicians be a president or whoever the fuck, we can't talk about how they're being fascistic because then crazy people are going to interpret that as a dog whistle for us wanting them to do political violence. It's like, no, we have to be able to be adults and have adult conversations. Yeah, I think half of the people saying Trump and whoever are fascists, they are retarded and don't even have good reasoning in it. But if there are some people that are making valid points, don't you want to hear what they have to say? Or are we just going to pretend like we can't have and also on the right, on top of all that, on the right, they are doing the same thing. I'm sorry. I know there's people that lean right that are in my chat and stuff. Guys, look, we have to be fair here. We have to see through the bullshit. Let's just be real. It is the same dehumanizing type of thing. And I get where both sides are coming from with a lot of this highly emotionally charged, borderline violent political speech. I get where a lot of people are coming with it, but the people on the right, their version of this is saying that trans people and the LGBTQ community are demonic and stuff like that. And I get it. You guys couldn't disagree more with some of the shit the LGBTQ community has done, but I understand where some people are coming from with saying stuff like that, but it's the same thing. And look, and I don't necessarily, again, I don't know that half of the violent shit you see isn't I don't know that it's organic political violence. I really don't. I'm suspicious of half of these fucking any when a politician gets taken out, that it's just like it's some random voter who feels disenfranchised. Yeah. Okay.
It's so polarized right now. It's
a random voter that has a trans furry boyfriend that they text messaged every little bit of evidence to and planned the attack through Discord, even though Discord says that the FBI is lying about that. Oops, that's weird.
It's hard to find common ground on anything. I was just thinking about the sign, and it's that the left is violent.
Yeah.
So when I sit down, it's actually the left is politically violent, and so it's kind of a...
Yeah, Kenny, that's what I'm talking about, dude. I mean, and for whatever it's worth, Trump. I don't like how much he has been buddy with Pfizer, especially. What did they get? Pfizer got some kind of. What kind of funding? They got funding or something like several $1 million. I don't remember if it was 100 some million or 70, 60 million, something like that recently. for, I guess, mRNA tech. And I don't like how Trump is actually still boasting about Operation Warp Speed and being involved with the production of those things. I don't like that, but at least for what it's worth, I mean, Trump, during all of that, even though he, took part in making the Vizaxizines available, he was promoting alternative treatments. He was even talking about drinking bleach, remember? But for real, he was saying, oh guys, they're talking about Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin and stuff. People are looking at different things. Also, they're looking at using UV light for stuff. And he was talking about all these alternative treatments, which I like. The what was it? The antibodies thing. Remember? I forget what it was called. But the antibodies, they were doing that treatment, and Trump was promoting that as well. But yeah, I don't like, obviously, good point, Kenny, because that's a good example that is recent and very palpable for people, unless they have complete amnesia. That like Biden was, if you remember, he was pushing on OSHA, right, to enforce that people had to get them. And then that got shut down. I forget, like, if it was Supreme Court or whatever, but that got shut down. OSHA was trying to enforce that. Promo code's up in here. What's up, Promo? Welcome, bro. Love her.
It's a modifier, right? We're modifying our conversation a little bit. And so...
No, what I'm doing is matching the intensity and the rhetoric of the left. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have said the right is violent. The political right is violent. And I'm doing what they are unwilling to do, which is sit down and have a conversation. I don't believe it's nuanced. I believe there's black and white, pretty clear-cut, good and evil in this one. I believe there's pretty black and white, clear-cut who's responsible for the political.
Kenny said they have amnesia because they got the shots. Dude, that is good. Kenny, I love you in my chat, bro. You're funny as fuck.
But I will discuss it with anybody. So did Charlie Kirk. And they kill us anyway. So I'm matching their rhetoric that I can fit on a sign, but I'm doing the work that the left is not willing to do and having a conversation. But I don't know where we go from. If we have these conversations and short of a brigade coming in, we get assassinated. The left doesn't fear that.
I would disagree, though. I think the left does have their own fears about it. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think there's a lot of fear out there.
Dude, that is funny. Guys, think about this. That's a good point. Dude, Destiny... Bro, we played some of it on the stream. Destiny went, he was part of the Unfuck America, Unf America tour, whatever it is. And they were supposed to be going around sort of following Turning Point USA and harassing Charlie Kirk, basically. And, but this was several days after Charlie Kirk got shot, and Destiny was boasting about basically how he thinks it's a good thing that Republicans are scared to get shot. Dude, he went no bulletproof glass, not a bunch of security. He went up and just set up a fucking tent with a table and a really shitty mic and PA system that you could barely understand anything, and it was a joke. But the point of it is that he had no security or bulletproof glass or anything, was not even worried about it. That is pretty crazy. But the thing is, I don't know, like, this is a thing. When it comes to the shooters and stuff, we could debate it, but your general average political violence, the weird shit that's happened, like Pelosi's husband and the people getting shot they were just talking about, that were there was a crazy guy that said Tim Walz told him to do it or some bullshit. I don't know. Those are like, I'm not talking about those cases, but like the violence, this is a trend. And I will say, I don't know, it could be paid provocateurs even. I don't know. I'm not arguing that it is. Some of the shit at the colleges when people protest because Milo Yiannopoulos or Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder is showing up, that is a different kind of like violence and riot and protest. And that is, it for sure seems like it comes more from the left. That is cut and dry, just like plain as day to see. I have never even, like, I've never heard of a left-wing person having their thing shut down because people lit stuff on fire outside of and like people got hit with bike locks and people with red hats getting sprayed with bear mace when they're like waiting in line getting interviewed. You just like you don't see any right-wing people showing up to left-wing events and just trying to shut it down. That is like a weird thing. But again, guys, you just never know when it's like organic, actual grassroots, like a group of average voters say, we don't like this, and our philosophy is that they are using speech to cause violence. Speech is violence, and that's what we think, so we're going to go do real violence towards them. I don't know how common that really is, guys. I really don't know. Maybe I am underestimating how fucking fucked up people are in the head. And I get it. There's a lot of people on meds and shit out there, but I don't know, man.
It's just different.
The leftist speakers on this campus don't need the same kind of security. They don't.
That's true. Crowder's right.
Take note of that. I mean, I've been student here for 2 years, and I hadn't even paid that much attention. I don't go to a whole lot of events, but I'll take note of that and see what I notice. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Assuming that I'm not lying to you, right, about these polls, and this is one thing we always, every show that I do, I'm largely a comedian, by the way. I'm an unwilling participant in this. I want to be telling dick jokes in a comedy club.
I do comedy too, actually.
Oh, good. Okay. Do you do some around here?
I do.
You might know my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. He does a lot of stand-up in Dallas right now. He has a show coming up. Well, let me know. Maybe I'll be able to look it up, and I can't come out and see a show unless I come out with security, but I'd like to see your material. That's actually even another example. A man who works on my show, a man named Josh Firestein, he was a booker for a comedy, franchise comedy club. When I performed at the Spokane Comedy Club, it was the first time they ever needed metal detectors and security. He'd been a booker there for many, many years. You had actual registered communists do comedy there. He was shocked and he was ready to hate me. He works for me now because he saw why it was necessary. When you perform on stage, do you need metal detectors? Do you need armed security? I have since I was 19 years old doing comedy in clubs. And I don't think I've said anything that necessitates that.
Oh, George was letting me know I have class at 2.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so how do we fix this then?
Oh, I mean, I think we need to have more civil discourse. I think
can't do that. We get shot.
Well, we can. We're doing it right now. Let's not be so pessimistic. But Stephen, come on, we have to change our attitude about it. We can't constantly fixate on the negative stuff. I know it's important, it matters, but we can do it. And just as
I can do it with $250,000 of security. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't have that. I mean, you talk about like fearing for your life. Yeah. I am a female pastor in Deep East, Texas. So on Sunday morning, I wait for that time when someone doesn't like what I said from the pulpit and comes up to me. So I too live with a fear, but it's different.
She's a female pastor? Did I hear that right? So she's a blasphemer then. Bible says you're not supposed to do that, lady. I guess she probably skips that verse. I don't know.
Do you have metal detectors and armed security?
We can't afford that at my church. We have an old person that sits at the front and says hi and tries to intervene in a way that would be appropriate of a Christian. We thought about bringing security to the church. We talked about it.
We literally can't have these discussions on our side unless we have
security.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. And I think that's really unfortunate that it's gotten so bad. The state of our country is so bad that we can't even talk to each other without one side or the other having to provide ridiculous amounts of safety and security that maybe aren't even guaranteed.
No, that's true. And I agree with you. It is terrible that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
It is terrible that it's exclusively incumbent upon one side to have these types of measures in place. Let me ask you this, because again, I think that we both abhor political violence. Do you think that maybe when one side is being hunted, let's make a mistake, Charlie Kirk was hunted. When people showed up to my house to try and kill me, I was being hunted. Right? Any conservative here is one viral tweet, one effective video away from being hunted.
Yeah.
Do we think that when that happens, and we peacefully mourn the loss of one of our peaceful leaders, and we are still approached with violence at memorials and at vigils with desecration, do you think that maybe the both sidesing it, saying it comes from both sides, is actually more harmful than productive? Because it lets the side that's responsible for it off the hook, the clear aggressor.
Which I think is more harmful.
Man, I would love to see Destiny debate Steven Crowder on this. I want to see that so bad. I'm worried though, Steven Crowder, and again, I'm like, I've followed him for years and years. I've always liked his stuff. He does interesting content, and these things where he's willing to, the Charlie Kirk style shit where you're willing to go out and debate whoever the fuck comes up to the microphone. That's admirable, and it's cool. I don't follow him that closely, but I would love to see if he would dodge Destiny. I have a feeling, I don't know, but I would love to see him debate Destiny on this topic, because Destiny would just like, I can't imagine what I know he would bring up January 6th. We know that. He brings up January 6th if you ask him what his favorite restaurant is, But yeah, I'd be interested to see that debate. That would get steamy.
To say that it's both sides.
Do you think it would be more helpful to call the left out and say, hey, you guys have been saying fascist, you guys have been saying Nazi, you guys have been saying genocide, sexist, and people believe it, and we're seeing political violence now that we both hate. Do you think that calling them out aggressively, rhetorically, might be more productive than saying, well, I guess it happens on both sides right now?
No, I don't, because it kind of reminds me of therapy, you know, where it's not necessarily.
Destiny's whole thing right now is that thought we were making fun of him. Making fun of who? Destiny or Steven Crowder? Guys, I lose track of who I'm talking shit about. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Steven Crowder or Destiny would respond to this. He'd be, Donald Trump is the only person who has not come out to disavow violence. He's turning the temperature up right now. I won't disavow violence until Donald Trump does.
Really helpful to point the finger in ways that are counterproductive. Not that I'm not opposed to holding people accountable, because that's a different thing.
No, I understand.
So,
let me ask you then this way, where you say pointing fingers. What is the reason that we record crime statistics?
I don't know.
Would you agree with the fundamental premise that its primary purpose?
Elbows, what's up, bro? Elbows down. Yeah, we're here. I got some people where, Facebook and Twitter. I got some people too. I'm in the 30s. I see. I got like a few people here on the YouTube. Candy O fan. What is that? I don't know who that is. Is that who this person is he's talking to?
Is risk assessment in determining who's most likely to be victimized. For example, and I hear this from the left, transgender or gay sex workers are more likely to be targets of violence than heterosexual sex workers, right? Those studies have come out, and by the way, those seem to be true. So we go, okay, these people are more at risk. The reason for crime statistics is to assess where the risk exists. Otherwise, it serves no purpose.
Okay.
Do we agree with that?
Fair. Okay. Sure. I'll trust your information on this.
Well, it's not information. It's just the reason. This is the why. Why else would we have crime statistics? Why would we record them? There's no reason. Just, okay, crime was committed. There's nothing we can do about it now.
I'll just have a history. I mean, it's another potential reason, but sure.
What's the value in a history?
But history's so important, Stephen. Come on.
In
history
what?
matters. Oh my gosh.
But history's important in what?
In everything, right? History repeats itself, but I think it holds to your point that history matters because you're saying we've seen these violence events. Yeah, and we don't
want to repeat negative history. So we agree. That's the reason for crime statistics. So if we look at those statistics and we look at the polls and we see an overwhelming number of those on the left, at a ratio of 6-1 support violence compared to those on the right, and we see people being murdered in cold blood. If you are conservative, right-leaning in this country, a public speaker, you are more at risk. How is that pointing the finger? It's identifying the problem, not repeating history, no?
Yes. Well, with data, sure. And data speaks differently than I think sometimes people do.
Sure.
You know, and so I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
Well, I think actually, going to that point, the data that's presented, for example, right now in the wake of the assassination, by the way, not just that, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious liberal attack. But a serious leftist attack, meaning in the ideology of the left. You have it right here, ICE, that happened. ICE facility. You had another one in, I believe, is it Alvarado or Alvarado? I don't know the right way to pronounce it. People were shot there. It was a bomb threat. The ABC affiliate. Okay, all right. It's like Houston and then New York, they go Houston. I'm like, I don't know the rules. So forgive me. And then I have French-Canadian mom, so I mispronounce things because she taught me English. Nice. And then we look at the ABC.
I forgot about that, the ABC attack.
The affiliate. Jimmy Kimmel. We haven't gone more than 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's an acceleration right now. And the problem is, amidst that, the left is saying, actually, there's more political violence coming from the right. And that's what we've been hearing, and it's dishonest. In other words, data is being presented to the public deliberately, dishonestly, to victim blame. And that's something we face too, where if you back people into a corner who are avoiding conflict, who are not violent, there could end up being right-wing violence. And when that happens, it's very ugly, it's very effective, it's very swift. And the only way we avoid that is for the left to take accountability of it and for them to tone down the temperature. And by that, I mean, right now, and this is where I show you, I think we both agree on this. So the two sources in the data, I don't care if you see my password, are the prosecution project, that's what's cited in The Economist and NPR and Cato. These are the ones where they say, hey, right-wing violence is more prevalent. I'm sure you've heard that. Let me show you what they don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data. Remember this in Portland? The Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson, shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man, Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him, told the cops, I got the Trump supporter dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes, of course.
Not a single one of these places cites it. It doesn't exist in their database.
The ones here in your black folder, but not here in this.
No, in there. You have all the sources.
Oh, these ones doesn't.
It's the same thing. The black folder is just those. Okay. Yeah. The point is they come from two places. TPP, the prosecution project, or a Cato study, which is reflected by the CSIS as well, where Cato tried to say there's 6 times the amount of domestic terrorism deaths. TPP said right-wing general violence. By the way, all of them agree that in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else isn't? all the riots, the billions in damages, the 37 dead from the George Floyd riots, the thousands of officers assaulted, the thousands of casualties. That's not included. You know what else is included? Darrell Brooks in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who ran people over in the parade. Have an exclusive defund the police, Black Lives Matter, anti-white, black supremacist ideology. That's why he killed him.
That was the van's fault, I think. Remember, the basically the media made it sound like it was the van's fault. I'm still convinced that the van just did it on its own. He just happened to be in the driver's seat. The gas pedal got stuck down, and then he couldn't. The steering wheel, it just wasn't. It was loose.
That's not included. I could go through example after example where you would just as clearly agree that is political violence. I'm not trying to pick a gray one. It exists nowhere. So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data as left-wing political violence? Because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
I think we have so much data that it's hard to even, especially in today's.
Why is she, Kenny? That's a good question. Why is she sticking around for this? She's like, she's having politics explained to her. I don't know. So I really, just to not be a dick, to be real here, I think this lady probably is sort of more of like a centrist. I forget what, did she say she's libertarian? I forget what the fuck she said. I don't think she said she's a leftist, but this lady seems like a little more open-minded and honest here. You know, a lot of the people that come up to talk to Crowder, they've got their own fucking motives and they want to push some shit. So I'll give her that. She seems like she's really open-minded and receptive and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Your average person that comes up to, you know, try to dunk on Steven Crowder would see that they're just absolutely getting dog walked here, and they would have stormed off already.
Well, I don't know, that's weird because you're saying in the police recorded call, they said
he spoke to the police before they shot him.
So it's on a 911 call.
So this is on, yeah, he was talking to the police. So there's
police cam video.
This is security camera video, and then I believe there's also police camera video.
The van donated $4 to Act Blue, Kenny.
And sworn testimony from the police. But he identified as 100% Antifa.
Yeah. You
can look at his social media. He went out there. There are even, I believe, interviews with this man before this was committed where he was talking about enacting political violence.
Yeah.
Did it, clear as day. Are you a Trump supporter? Yes, we've got a Trump supporter. Bang, bang, dead. All the studies from left-wing sources don't include that. Is that bothersome?
Yeah, I do think it is bothersome because we need to have the facts of the situations, any situation, regardless of where it comes from. And, you know, you talked about something you said earlier just reminded me of like the media is not portraying things accurately. And that's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's adding so much fuel to the fire.
On that, we agree. And look, can I ask you, and this is, by the way, there's no wrong answer. This is just an opinion. Why do you think that wasn't included? Why do you think the examples that I gave you, none of them were included? But any example of white on black violence, even if it was a Democrat voter, was listed as right wing. Any attack on a government building, even if it was Antifa, was listed as right wing. Why do you think something that clear
was not included?
Would it surprise you if the authoritative source that's being cited, prosecution project, the author of it, was actually arrested himself on January 20th, protesting Donald Trump, committing crimes, and that entire day was also omitted?
Probably not.
A member of Antifa who said we are an organized group and we confront fascists. That's the source that gets disseminated across. Seems there might be a bias there. And these sources.
Well, the January 6ers should have their own website where they list exclusively left-wing violence and just like conveniently leave out January 6th out of the discussion of political violence. That's what we need now. We need our own website. Let's start, guys. We got to start playing by their rules here, okay?
Are being used to victim blame those on the right now. Where do you think those on the right go? Where we go, hold on a second, we're actually sitting down and having conversations, and we've been attacked and in some cases killed. Right. And then you came to the
Bro, so the guy has a palm gun in his pocket behind her. Bro, I wonder what Steven Crowder's team has. They're probably plotting to kill Steven Crowder just because they can't stand him. It's not even Israel money. They're just like, let's take him out.
Individuals, and you celebrated a majority of people on the left, not all, not yourself, but too many celebrated it.
I don't celebrate.
No, but many did, and we both know that we saw it.
I know you're right,
and then you came and blamed us and said we need to tone it down, and told us that we're more violent with clearly dishonest stats. Yeah. That's why I say the both sidesing it doesn't help because you're backing people into a corner, not you, the left, with lies. At a certain point, they're going to push back.
Oh, I want to see Destiny debate him on this so bad. I think Steven Crowder would win it too. I have to be real. I would love to see Destiny put up a really good fight, though. I'd love to see that.
Trying to avoid that.
Yeah. So what do you think the answer is then?
I'll tell you what I think the answer is twofold. One, the leadership of the left and the majority of the left. I think the majority of people who identify as liberal, the reason you get those numbers 62 to 65, depending on the day, whether it's Rutgers or whether it's YouGov, I think they support political violence.
They put a fucking Kenny. They put an explosive under Steven Crowder's chair. They're just waiting for the phrase, the activation phrase. They're waiting for him to say gang violence.
Varying degrees, because they actually believe that those on the right are fascist, are Nazis, are genocidists, are racist, are homophobic, are sexist, because every single member of the Democratic leadership has said so. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Walz, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, every single one has made that comparison. I think it's incumbent upon the left to take accountability, say, look, we have gone too far here. This needs to be toned down. Of course, Donald Trump and his voters are not fascists who won't relinquish power, because he can't deal with fascists at a ballot box. And then I think we also need to, states need to take this upon them, need to change their soft on crime policy. The no cash bail, the IOU policy, where you can simply say, I'll be back in court. Before Charlie Kirk, right, the story in the news was Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee who was stabbed on that subway in North Carolina by a black man, Carlos Brown Jr. He was let out 14 times. And the last time he was let out by a left judge in the name of social justice, he was deemed unfit to stand trial, but they let him go back out in society because he said he'd be back. He said he killed an innocent woman. You know why? Because, hey, justice is racist. I guess I don't know when it becomes racist, if it's at arrest number 11 or 14.
Bro, that guy said the government, that guy said like the government made him do it. Did you guys see that? So the Charlie Kirk stuff happened, and it was like right after I had waited a few days to cover the so I was going to do a whole Black Fatigue episode. So some of you guys that are frequent viewers of my stream know I like to do a Black Fatigue episode here and there, just a whole episode based on mostly white people getting fatigued just trying to understand Black culture. You know, when white people, when they see Black culture like twerking on the hood of a car or robbing a Walmart to protest the death of a random Black person, those kind of things. Not that it's wrong. White people don't understand it. It's just different. So, you know, we get fatigued by it, and that's what we cover. We cover good, you know, viral examples of people getting very fatigued by Black culture. And, you know, I was waiting to do a whole episode. I was going to cover the train or the subway bus, whatever the fuck it was, stabbing where the Ukrainian girl got stabbed and all that shit. I never even got to do it because then the Charlie Kirk shit happened, and then it's just been like nonstop. I've only done like a few episodes covering unrelated stuff to Charlie. This is probably like the third episode I've done that isn't about Charlie Kirk since he got assassinated. So anyway, but yeah, the guy, the crazy Black guy claimed something. I forget what the quote was, but he said something about the machines inside of him made him do it or something like that. Remember, that's what he said. It was like, I remember hearing part of the clip. I don't know if there's more than one. I kind of think there's more than one clip where he talked about this, but he's saying this on the phone. He says something about the machine inside of me, or the machines inside of me made me do it. He's in the Matrix or something. I don't know. But, bro, that's intriguing, you know, and I don't want to get too crazy or anything. I mean, it's probably just a crazy Black guy, and that's like, you know, it's believable. There's no reason to even question that. But just the day and age we're in, I mean, there's like legitimate patents and stuff like that where they can use like frequencies and shit with your Wi-Fi and stuff like that to like fuck with your brain and make you feel a certain way and stuff like that. I forget what the fuck. Oh, BW's in the chat. What's up, lover? Welcome. LGBTQTPUSA. Yeah. But yeah, I honestly, guys, we're in some crazy times right now. I would not be surprised if the CIA was testing like mental manipulation, Wi-Fi signals on Black people. The CDC tested syphilis on Black people. You think they won't test Wi-Fi brain manipulation? Give me a break.
But that needs to change. Those two things: accountability, change in rhetoric, ownership from the left, which will change the makeup of today's left, make us safer, and needs to change soft on crime policy. And I also advocate that conservatives take an approach of ruthless, lawful self-defense, because we've afforded grace where it is not warranted. What I mean by that is people who attack me and my family, and many of my production members who've been attacked, violently assaulted, taken the high road for a very long time, and that's why these people feel so bold to come to our memorials and still commit attacks. They didn't know they can't do that. I want the left to be able to get up and have these conversations with no security, as they often do, and I don't want anyone the right to go and violently disrupt it. The left needs to be afraid to come into our groups and commit acts of violence because we watched entire cities burn down. We watched our own die, and we watched it celebrated. And unless the left does this and takes this approach, it's going to get worse. There's no off-ramp. That's a genuine concern of mine. People are concerned about radicalizing, right? They talk about radicalization with echo chambers online. There's nothing more radicalizing than assassination and a party afterwards.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
That's why I'm sitting down doing this. And let people know that we're not afraid to have these conversations. Now, of course, we have bulletproof glass and flat jacket. And it's sad.
Kenny, I will admit, I'm not familiar with Master P. He said like an old Master P video from the 90s, like that kind of culture. You know what? I'm going to say yes. I imagine that's probably dead on, but I'm not familiar with Master P videos from the 90s. They should put it in the purple drink instead. Ain't no Wi-Fi in the ghettos. Bro, they definitely spray. There's been things. In fact, I remember, only reason I really remember this, there's been a couple things. These are declassified real things. I forget where the fuck I saw these. I don't know if I could ever find this again, but I've looked for it again since, but I remember seeing somewhere about some declassified shit that there's been like several things that the CIA has done here in Florida and Tampa specifically. There was something about them testing something, spraying a neighborhood or something like that, some county. I forget, dude, but there's like, dude, they fucking do all kinds of shit. You got to be kidding me. Operation Dropkick, Avon Park. Is that what I'm thinking of? That sounds familiar. Are you fucking with me? That might be one of the things I saw. Dude, there were several things though. So I remember there were two things I saw on this. One of them was I saw the things in Tampa or Florida listed in two different things that I saw, but one of them was a video that showed, I think, what was the declassified documents, and then it had some kind of video with it. But they listed several things that happened in Florida. They showed several of these documents. It was like different cases within the span of like 2 decades or something. They had done like 3 different things, spraying or fucking with people in counties around where I'm at.
That it's here.
Right.
But it's necessary. That's what I think.
Okay.
Would you disagree with any of those approaches? Changing the rhetoric, taking accountability, and stopping the soft on crime revolving door criminality policy?
This is hard, Stephen, because I just feel like we don't have enough time to even really dive deep into each one.
Yeah, Kenny, hold on. Yeah, I'll Google it. I'll let this play, but I'll look up I'll see what I can find real quick.
Issues. I know, but I just need more time to process and really consider and to understand what.
Oh, the mosquitoes, of course. Bro, the mosquito stuff has been sketchy as hell. So I looked into that for a little bit. And dude, it's interesting, the fucking experiments and stuff that they've done with the mosquitoes, where they'll actually genetically modify a bunch of them, and they turn them into, guys, I learned all this. I probably forgot a lot of it, but I learned all this shit about mosquitoes. So one of the things is like the fucking the male mosquitoes actually don't bite at all. So I used to think for the longest time, and I remember someone explaining this to me when I was a kid and hearing other people understand it improperly as well, that mosquitoes, all of them, this is what I thought was true, was that all mosquitoes bite, but only the female ones actually like hurt when they bite you. Like sometimes a mosquito will bite you and you don't even notice it, and you'll feel the itch later. But I thought it was the female ones. They're the ones that bite you, and it actually kind of hurts. And then, you try to smack them and whatever. It's actually the male mosquitoes don't even bite at all. The male mosquitoes just feed off of like nectar and stuff, like a bee or something. And the female mosquitoes have to drink the blood to sustain the growth of the eggs inside of the babies. That's why the female mosquitoes have to drink your blood. But anyway, so yeah, that's one of the they've done several of these things where they've released the mosquitoes here in Florida, and they say it is to bring down the mosquitoes because they release these genetically modified groups of mosquitoes. I think it's like something like the when they try to breed, it's like the next generation never gets reproduced or something because they genetically modify these ones that go out and they breed with all these other ones, but then they don't actually have babies. Or I forget what the fuck it was, but it's something like that. They got a bunch of mosquitoes that they fucked with to make it so that the next generation of mosquitoes like dies off quickly or something like that. I forget what the fuck it is. It's something weird like that. But they swear up and down that these mosquitoes they release aren't going to like, make shit worse. But there's a lot of controversy. I forget some of the arguments, the rebuttals to them saying it's like completely safe, because a lot of people argue that it's not. Like if there's flaws in or there are possible faults in this process.
I mean, exactly with each thing, because I don't want to.
No cashless bail.
No cashless bail.
Yeah, so you have to post bail. Okay, you have to post bail. You commit a violent crime, you have to post bail. You're in jail. You're not allowed out.
Okay, so no cashless bail meaning you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to get out without paying any bail.
Without paying any bail, and like
3-strike policy as well.
3-strike policy.
3 serious felonies, violent crimes.
Wait, hold on, bail. Yeah. So you're saying you can't make bail, you can't get out.
Yep. You have to wait for your trial.
No matter what the level of the crime is.
No, if it's a serious felony.
Only if it's a serious felony.
Let's even start with violent crimes.
Like
felonies, violent crimes,
something like that.
Assault, armed robbery.
Okay.
Burglary. Battery.
I think I could probably get behind that.
Okay.
I could probably get behind that.
Not a single leader in the Democratic Party is.
Yeah.
So we can get behind that. No IOU policy for these criminals. You're deemed mental. Let's use the Carlos Brown Jr. as a very clear example. We could use George Floyd as an example too. He was arrested 6 or 9 times.
Actually, I'm so
okay. That's fine.
I have to go to
okay. Well, please peruse those sources. Your name is Christina. Let me get your last name so if I want to go see your material.
Yeah. Well, I perform under a station, and I wouldn't say it anyway.
Could you write it down for me if I don't show it to anybody?
I will write it down for you, but you won't be able to find me. I'm not like a big I just started a year or so ago.
Well, I was going to follow up. Maybe if I see it, send you some notes of encouragement because I could have used that when I was starting.
Okay.
If you write it down, I promise you no one will see it.
Okay. But I don't know how you're going to send me anything.
Well, just no vibes, I think is the term that's used. I'll be watching. Know that I'll be out there going like, hey, go get him.
But this is my stage name.
Okay.
So,
thank you. Thank you, Christina.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good luck with this.
You too. God bless.
And I am, I just want to say, it's really inappropriate. If anyone from the left or the moderate is right, we shouldn't be celebrating death. We need to be working together and being united in these things. Together we stand, divided we fall.
I agree with most of that.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Yeah,
be well. God bless.
Well, that was surprisingly productive. And I say surprisingly, not in the context of Change My Mind, but in the context of what we see in today's social media highlight reels. I hope that we can keep this up. Let's move on to our next conversation with Madison, like the town.
Allow me to.
Yeah, so I looked up the Wikipedia page for this the Avon Park deal. So it is funny, man. They are still doing. So I don't. Hold on. Let me bring this up again. So this is something different, but they're still doing these experiments where they're releasing these mosquitoes, like genetically modified mosquitoes. This is from the 1950s though, but they're still doing it, guys. This is like, I know within, I'd say it was at least within like a couple years ago or something like that. As recently as within like the last 2 or 3 years, they've done this again. They keep doing it.
The premise today, which is that today, especially
the mosquitoes just keep getting worse and worse, and they go, no, we're going to fix it this time.
2025, I'm presupposing that predominantly the political violence right now is coming from the left, setting a tenor and tone where everything you see here today is necessary. And if you disagree with that, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah.
All right. So which part of that the left is predominantly responsible for the tone of political violence today do you disagree with?
Well, I have to think that we first have to consider how many people are on the left and what is the true ideology and mythos.
Yeah, so I looked this up. Okay, so I'm on another tab. I don't want to go too late with the Crowder stuff, but I wanted to get through the whole video here. That's why I got to sped up. So we'll take a quick visit over to this other tab I got. So yeah, that's okay, this one. So let me go down here in the corner so you guys can see as much as possible. So yeah, fucking GMO mosquitoes. Genetically modified mosquitoes were released in the Florida Keys starting in 2021. I knew it was recent. by biotechnology company Oxitec to control the Aedes aegypti mosquito population, which no, I pronounced that wrong, which spreads diseases like Zika and dengue. The program involves releasing male bioengineered. There we go, guys. Male. I remember the male thing. That's why I knew so much about the male mosquitoes. The male thing came into it. So releasing male mosquitoes bioengineered that carry a gene that causes their female offspring to die before maturity. Guys, I almost remembered it right. Oh my God, I was really close. My explanation was like right in the ballpark of this. So yeah, that's what it was. They release these, the mosquitoes that go out to breed, and then the next generation is the one that they die off before maturity. So all these motherfuckers go out and to do ideally, all these males they release go out and breed with the available females. They lay those eggs, then the mothers die off. Those eggs that come up are supposed to be the new generation that goes off to breed, but they don't make it to the breeding age. So in theory would sort of help to take out a whole generation. But of course, guys, does this really work like they think it works? All right, let's go back to Crowder. I just wanted to show you guys I'm not completely crazy. And that 2021, guys, this was, like I said, it was just a few years ago. I knew this was recent. Okay, here we go.
Behind this new occurrence of violence that we see with the left.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, there's potential skews of media. I don't doubt that crime is not happening, but how many people are truly committing crime out of the sake of leftism or out of the sake of radicalism, or could it be plastered on there just to get this ball rolling about narrative? The only other question that I have, a personal question about you is, and it's a tough one.
Well, is it related to the topic?
It is.
Okay.
Would Jesus be on the left or the right?
Well, that's a conversation for another day. We talk about that in church quite a bit. I don't necessarily know that he would fit within the current American left-right paradigm. But I will tell you one thing. Jesus would certainly be against political violence as a form of intimidation or coercion. It seems to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're not disagreeing with the...
Jesus said, I bring the sword. He said something like that. He said, I come bearing a sword to cut your other cheek when you turn it.
Idea, the uptick that there is an increase in political violence from the quote-unquote left. You're just not sure if you define them as left?
Partially, yeah. I just don't necessarily want to just assign political violence or terrorism directly to the left, because we see political violence across the world in forms of autocratic or conservative ideologies. So maybe China is a really good example. Arguably, Russia,
leftist violence.
Of leftist.
No, Kenny, ideally, that is a good... That it sounds like... I like that they're thinking there, and it's if it is genuinely so that they can take out dengue fever and what was the other hold on, Zika. I popped back over there. So yeah, dengue and Zika, that's what they're trying to get rid of diseases. I mean, that's a valiant effort if that's what if this isn't just some fun. You guys, you know, but the issue is not like, oh, like, are they lying? Just like, you know, what I don't. Who the fuck knows, guys? These fucking I don't know what this company. We could look into this some night soon. We'll watch. I know there's different videos and stuff on this. We'll get into the mosquito thing. I think that'd be interesting to dive into a little bit more. But you know how some of these fucking things go. It'll be some government agency has a budget. Some company comes in and says, oh, we can do this. Hire us because we can, hey, we're working on this new technology where we can bioengineer male mosquitoes, release them. And they explain the whole thing in this, they've got a budget and they're like, hey, well, we got to spend this money or they're going to reduce our budget next year. So let's just fucking do it. You know, I just, that's probably nothing like what happened, but that happens. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's a dirty game, guys. You don't know how the fuck. That's the same thing. The cloud seeding company, that guy who was going around after that Texas flood, going around saying, oh, well, yeah, we can, I'll give you a very scientific explanation as to how we can change weather patterns in your town. And yet, no, it won't flood. We're definitely not responsible for the flood, but while we're here talking about flooding, we can increase the rain and just give us a call.
Violence, especially, or well, no, autocratic and conservative violence.
China would be conservative?
I would believe so because they're an autocracy, so they have to practice conservative ideologies to obtain. They can't liberate their people. That's what the left is. That's what liberation is.
Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the CCP, but they're communist, and they did so under the guise of liberating.
You know what, Kenny? That's a good point. We were in the middle of a deadly pandemic and these guys were playing mosquito games. Bro, they're like, look, everyone is locked inside their houses anyway. Let's start experimenting with mosquitoes. You know what? There's no better time to start experimenting with mosquitoes than when everyone's locked in their houses. Oh, actually, except for Florida. You know what? I take that back. Florida's the only place that wasn't locked down. It's not like they were releasing these mosquitoes in New York City or something. That would make more sense.
People, and then of course,
and it wouldn't make sense, but it'd be safer.
You don't actually have any democratically held elections again, so they are communist. They've done so to liberate people, namely from the decadence, the quote unquote shackles of the Western world. I'm just a little bit, I guess, flummoxed as to how you would define communist China. The Communist Chinese Party is right wing.
Well, because when Marx wrote his communist ideologies, it was conservative based. He didn't enjoy other people, races. He wanted to eliminate races.
What does it have to do with conservatism?
It has to do with human rights, because conservatism isn't looking to liberate people from or define human rights. It's looking to remove human rights, conserving the beliefs of the state and conserving the beliefs of elitism.
Okay, so what if your premise is flawed? So what if conservatism, and I understand, by the way, I agree with you, it means different things across. For example, conservative in the UK. In Canada, you're basically a liberal or a liberal separatist. There's no real conservative party. But in the United States, it's not about conserving the state. As a matter of fact, our Constitution is very unique in that it said the state doesn't grant any rights. So it's preserving the Constitution where you are granted inalienable rights, meaning birth rights, by God. And the state only serves to recognize those rights and protect them. And so if the state ever infringes upon the rights that are naturally yours by birthright.
But who assigned natural rights?
Well, that's again, the founding fathers would be conservative. Natural rights being
Republican?
Well, this was before the Republican Party.
Am I correct?
This is the Republican Party. But I'm just confused. So you would say
Bro, check out Steven Crowder. He's doing the toothpicks too. I bet it's a nicotine toothpick, just like I got. I just noticed that in this last clip. I was like, wait, he's got a toothpick. I'm pretty sure he likes maybe I'm wrong. No, he does. He likes cigars. I was like, what? I know I've seen him smoke something. He smokes cigars. I bet he enjoys a little bit of nicotine here and there.
Communist China, conservative.
It's a nicotine toothpick, I bet.
I would say it's autocracy that uses conservative.
Okay, but how is that conservative? For example, you say doing away with races. How is that conservative?
It conserves their power over the state or over the nation.
So you believe that conservatives want the state to have more power?
I think that we define conservative beliefs by our Republican values. But conservatism across the globe looks very different.
Okay, well, I agree that different parties, because there's also the Conservative Party, for example, whereas here at the Republican Party, we're talking about conservatism in the United States. It seems to me that your presupposition is that conservatives, Republicans want more state control, want more government power, as opposed to the Democrat Party, liberals. Okay, that would apply over healthcare, what you can eat, what you can drive, taxes. They're more liberal, more open-minded on the left of those policies. Okay, I would just disagree with that. Considering if you just look at marginal tax rates and you look at gun policy, you look at speech policy, you look at energy policy, what you can drive. But going back to political violence, you said you wouldn't want to ascribe the uptick that we both recognize, political violence to the left. What would be required for it to be ascribed to the left? What if they said it was? Like, what if someone?
I would say, like, I'm looking at this globally.
Well, let's talk about here in the United States, because that's what we're discussing. Yeah. Like, what I'm asking you is, what would be required if someone were to commit an act of political violence and you consider it on the left? What if they said it's because they're on the left? Would that count?
I would say so, no. I think if somebody's doing an act towards the left, what side of the left and why? Because what we refer to as left is now a religion and ideology.
I would agree with that.
This is a secular movement.
Secular humanism,
and, well, you can really say if you wanted to, because like a lot of those people are nuts. And to try to return back to their liberalist state. Because in some ways, liberalists believe that they've been robbed of human rights. It's a radicalism of people. Right. Honestly, if the conservatives, like maybe 20 years ago, started assigning themselves the idea of human rights or like, public policy and things like that, they're probably going to switch around for the conservative movement to be more actually the radical people.
Do you mean like the Civil Rights Act? Or like
Civil Rights
Emancipation Proclamation, freedom of speech policy, Section 230, Second Amendment? You mean those kinds of rights?
Those kinds of rights.
If the right had been spearheading those?
And probably a little bit more socialist ideals. But of course.
Well, it's not just change the definitions, right? What you can't do, or I would disagree with doing, is saying racist means conservative, because it doesn't, right? Most slaveholders would be Democrat, and I know we would talk about how the parties have switched. You can't say KKK equal, those would be largely Democrats. There's nothing conservative about racism. There's nothing.
Again, I think that we're saying that parties and Democratic parties when conservative.
That's what we're doing. We're discussing it here in the States.
Assignment of Republican, because if you want to argue that Republicans are liberating people, wouldn't that constitute as a left nowadays?
Why would that be left?
Because they're liberating people from slavery, and it's a Republican mindset.
No, I don't see how that would be left at all. As a matter of fact, I think your fundamental flaw that I would argue is this idea that the left is more concerned with individual liberty. That makes sense why you would ascribe conservatism to communism. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who agrees with you. But right now, on the political violence, let me ask you this:
Karl Marx, he was a conservative.
Wanted to do away with the nuclear family. Wanted to seize the means of production and distribution. I just won't agree with you that anything about that is conservative. The political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Using conservative with Republican ideals.
Okay.
Republican ideal is to protect the family. some ways you could say it's conservative.
Sure, yeah, conservative.
Again,
And
that is
Karl Marx wanted the state to be in charge of the
that
family.
is the American perspective of conservatism.
Okay.
But the arrival of like what is liberalism, what is conservatism, we can't assign it to American Republican Party or Democratic Party because people hold left-leaning views in the Republican Party. Sure. We can say that Republicans want to liberate the world.
Thank God this part doesn't last too much longer. This is boring me to tears. Guys, you know what? This is just, I should have known that this wasn't going to be so much fun for me, because I'm just like, these people that are coming up to debate this, man, this is almost like, look, there's some stuff we can have a good conversation about here, and I feel like it's been covered already. Just the fact that when it comes to doing public events like this and stuff, you just never are, and maybe the videos are just not going viral of Trump supporters hitting Destiny fans with bike locks and stuff. Maybe we're just not seeing those videos, but I doubt it. But, that's worth pointing out. But I feel like these people, Steven Crowder and anyone that wants to cite the Charlie Kirk thing as any form of evidence for either side, I feel like you people are like 10 steps ahead in the debate on a very shaky foundation of believing what the FBI has said about their whole narrative about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I just feel like we're way out in left field, just going like, yeah, so let's have this argument. And for that, we're going to have to completely forget about the fact that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino dangled this Epstein file carrot in front of us for a whole fucking campaign, and Donald Trump as well. And then they just they told us we were going to get an unedited video showing evidence that no one went in or left Epstein's cell, and a full undeniable evidence that of what really happened to Epstein, that he took himself out. We're going to get, and then it ended up being a lie. We had phase one that pretty much made all the conservative talking heads, the big guys like DC Drano and all those people, look like complete fucking clowns. We're just going to forget that all that happened and go, okay, yeah, I'll just trust fucking Kash Patel's bulging eyes talking about Valhalla and shit. Give me a fucking break. They're saying Charlie Kirk had magic bones. I'm done listening to the FBI. You should be too. Magic bones. A 30-06 that'll go through and through. I showed you guys the video. A guy hunting a deer shot through and through its shoulder blades, and the bullet came out the other side and went into the lake. And you could see where in the water where the fucking bullet went through and through both shoulder blades of a fully grown male deer. And they're saying Charlie Kirk's little fucking dinky spine stopped that bullet. But it was a miracle. He's just so healthy. He has magic bones, and it's a miracle. I mean, it would be a cooler miracle if he didn't die from it, but yeah, Charlie Kirk got killed, but it's a miracle that his magic bones in his neck stopped the bullet and no one else got shot. It's a miracle, guys. The FBI is now invoking the power of Jesus to explain what happened to Charlie Kirk. You have to realize it's bullshit at this point, right? Please tell me you guys are not falling for this, where we're invoking Jesus.
From war nowadays, at least with Donald Trump's administration, and that the Democratic Party wanted to do more war in, what was it, Bush's era, right? So what is it confusing?
Did you say Bush was a Republican? But I would agree with you.
Maybe it's Clinton. Clinton was.
Yeah, I will say this: all presidents have been more pro-war than.
I feel like it's the same game they're playing with, and again, guys, I know it's okay. Some people are going to think I'm completely crazy. I'll debate anybody on this. Please, if you think I'm schizo, you come across this video a year from now, whenever the fuck you watch this, please DM me if you want to debate this. We can. We truly can. I do not have a problem debating about what happened to Kirk or Donald Trump. But I think the Donald Trump assassination attempt was fucking bullshit, dude. I really do.
Campaigns, with the exception of Donald Trump. I think we would agree on that.
This is going to be a 3-4 hour stream if I start breaking that down.
Political violence. The assassination of Charlie Kirk in cold blood. Would that be leftist political violence?
I think that was a Satanist.
Okay. Daryl Brooks, Waukesha, running people over. He's a black supremacist who wanted to kill cops and white people. Would that be leftist political violence?
And he is a part of the...
Oh, sorry. What I was going to say, you made me realize that truth is unbreakable. Yeah, what I was going to say, this is the same thing. I'm baked, guys. I've been hitting this bong. This is the same thing where it gets sketchy to me, where they start invoking religion and stuff with this. This is the same, like, I got red flags with them going, oh, it was a miracle. Donald Trump, it's because he turned his head at just the right moment and the bullet just barely grazed his ear. You know, it was an act of God. So that got like every single Christian person who just like went along with it and said, hey, you know what? It looked like Donald Trump got shot at, and I'm just going to believe it. And they killed that little creep that was on the roof. Hey, good, he's dead. I'm happy he's dead because he was a violent leftist. He was probably trans. He probably tucked his junk back behind his legs and danced in front of the mirror like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Little freak. Everybody said that. Oh, I'm going to vote for Trump now because this is clearly God's plan. Jesus saved Donald Trump, so now it's my duty to vote for him. This is just the most retarded brain rot bullshit I've ever heard. That fucking assassination attempt it looks so fake to me. Donald Trump literally did pro wrestling, and you guys are going to fall for a goddamn blood pack? Holy fuck.
BLM or Black Supremacy movement.
And would you not consider that among the left? Antifa, would that...
Oh, truth is, I meant to highlight your comment and read it. Charlie Kirk isn't Wolverine. Yes, exactly. So many distractions and other BS. Even the memorial was WWE megachurch political rally Masonic event. Guys, and we're going to have to look into this maybe tomorrow night or sometime maybe Friday or something. Dude, there's all these people are highlighting the fact that the venue that they rented, the venue that TPUSA had rented for the Charlie Kirk event was rented months ago. That's the thing that people are like really kind of like, I've seen conspiracy pages freaking out about and pointing out that they rented this venue back in May. And you could say, oh, okay, well, maybe they had something planned for, maybe they had a Charlie Kirk event planned for June, whatever. And whatever. No, dude, there's nothing. People have looked. There's no trace of Charlie Kirk or TPUSA promoting anything that was supposed to happen on the day they had the memorial. So why people are really like suspect about, they're very alarmed by the fact that TPUSA had this venue rented out months in advance and just happened to need to use it for a fucking WWE style memorial service for Charlie Kirk, where his wife shed exactly one tear. I think I saw one tear when she was up there. That's the only tear I've seen since this has started. I haven't seen her actually crying. We're digressing way too hard. Let's get back to this.
Be considered among the left?
I think that they're assigning themselves a party.
Guys, put the leash on me. Guys, come on. We're trying to watch a Steven Crowder video.
To assimilate with, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't account for leftist values. Because
okay.
The leftist
so let me ask you, I don't want to waste too much time on this. How would you curb political violence, right? The whole reason for crime statistics is a risk assessment to see who's most likely to be victimized and prevent it in the future. I get that you're in college and I understand that things can be kind of nebulous or abstract, but there are real people dying, right? And some of them are people I've known sitting in this exam. Okay. So where is the violence coming from in the country right now when you take into account Charlie Kirk? I mean, what just happened here down the road at ICE or Alvarado, I'm not sure it's pronounced. Well, we haven't gone more than 3 days in the last 3 weeks. We've got significant acts of self-identified leftist terrorism. How would you curb it? If you're going to curb political violence, and it seems like you're not willing to say that anything is political within the paradigm as it's universally recognized, what would you do?
I think people need to go off social media. They're becoming radicalized through that.
Okay.
How much time can you spend on TikTok, like cycling through the
That's stupid.
same like violent ideologies? Because conservatives can have.
I'm banned from TikTok because I said Xi Jinping has a small penis, so that's
I
the
don't
Communist
care about
Party.
TikTok. I can say Instagram as well.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I agree that social media can be very toxic, but we're seeing real acts of violence. So assuming that you can't wave your magic wand and ban all.
That's not nice to say, Steven Crowder. How would you know that? You know what? That's slander too. He should slap you with a lawsuit.
Social media.
Are you meaning in terms of like policies? Like if I had a seat in.
Well, we need to identify the problem. Where do you think political violence is coming from more right now?
I think on a global scale,
In the United States.
Both.
In the United States.
In the United States, I can't speak on the United States because I don't think it's just the United States.
No, but that's what the conversation is today. So if you don't want to, that's okay. But I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the disagreement respectfully. You're never going to get me to say that the Communist Chinese Party is right wing.
Well, of course you wouldn't, because like you.
Man, you know what? Charlie Kirk. You know what he did well? I will say he was really good at getting right to the point with stuff and cycling through more people coming up to debate. I think part of the problem is Steven Crowder lets these people come sit next to him and get all cozy and personal, whereas Charlie Kirk kept those people like 10 feet away with their own microphone, and it was sort of like it was less personal where you just want to like have a conversation and chit chat. It was more like my point, your point, my point, your point. Okay, you're wrong. Go away. Next person.
Represent the Conservative Party and the Republican Party.
Well, there's no Conservative Party here. I'm just conservative.
There are examples of people who are carrying out things violently, but it is not just the leftist ideology. It is a religion to something greater, and that's what I just want to assign it. Is that because yeah, of course, and like I kind of already my point, but
no, and I think we would agree. Karl Marx loathed religion and wanted to replace it with religion of the state.
Yeah.
And that's what we see from these leftists. But I appreciate you sitting down, Madison. Thank you very much. Are those furry pants? So that
they're furry pants and what?
Well, they're fur.
Pants.
Oh, they're bear pants. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Shoes that are very, very exclusive and rare. But
so what took you back when I said furry pants if they're bear pants? I didn't mean to offend you. They look like fur.
Well, they are bear.
Okay,
Boston.
they're bear
pants. Are you a fan of Boston?
No, not very much. I only spent a little bit of time there with the hockey exchange. Montreal, we do an exchange with the Boston, and it's an intensely uneducated and often quite racist people. But thank you very much.
Charlie Kirk would never keep someone for a whole extra minute to ask them about their bear pants.
Madison, I appreciate taking the time. God bless.
God bless.
Hey, are you a furry? Hey, are you a furry? You wouldn't happen to be dating somebody who wants to shoot me in the neck from 200 yards away, would you?
In a moment, if I may, for a brief intermission, and the only time I'd be addressing the crowd this day, to issue a new challenge and lay out next steps. Guys, this will be probably one of the only times that I address you.
Bro, that's what I alluded to that too. Get the gloves and worm the dog, bitch. Give them that fucking flea meds.
As a mass of people, because these usually end up being individual conversations. But I wanted to take a moment just to kind of communicate something here. When we started Change My Mind, the idea was back in 2016.
That's what I said at the beginning of the stream. Something about. I like Charlie Kirk more than Steven Crowder, but that's one thing that I do like more about Steven Crowder is that Steven Crowder is not ashamed to tell his wife, "Bitch, put on some gloves and give the dog the flea medicine." You know, Charlie Kirk would never fucking do that. He would never do that. He'd be like, I serve my woman. Yes, I'm in the middle of running a multi-million-dollar company and I'm planning our next event, but I'll put the flea meds on the dog, honey. Just go play with the baby.
I think the first ones were in 2017, so nearly a decade now. SMU was one of the very first places. And actually, I believe one of the very first places was me with a sandwich board in Burlington, Vermont, in a morph suit, because it wasn't on campus initially. But the more I went on campus, the more I saw the failures of the institutions. And I want to be really clear about something. This was never designed to mock, denigrate, or dunk on students who don't know any better. It was always designed to highlight the failures of the institutions, because I was dumbfounded as to the fact when leftists would sit down that this was the first time they were hearing mainstream conservative views. So it was always about highlighting the failures of institutions, and that includes media, but certainly academia. And that's why the next step, and something we've been trying to put together for a long time, but no one has agreed to do so, and why I'll be announcing this publicly and reading it out, we're actually going to be starting or calling for formal debates with professors at schools. And the only way we can think to get these people to show
good way to go. You know what? I give you credit there, Crowder, because that's what. And the professors would come up to debate Charlie Kirk, but this is one of the fucking things people complain about. Oh, these little college kids come up to debate a fully grown, like 31-year-old man. Is that fair? and Destiny said this too. He exclusively debates college kids. Bro, the professors would come up and try to fucking dunk on Charlie Kirk, and they'd get absolutely embarrassed. This fucking history professor came up, said his specialty was World War I and World War II, and Charlie Kirk was like referencing all this stuff that happened during World War II. I forget what he talked about, and this professor was lost, didn't even know the reference, and he's like, guys, this is what you're paying for at these colleges. These professors, like, they don't know as much as they'd like to pretend they do. A random fucking conservative debater guy, I don't want, like, why would Charlie Kirk be more educated on World War II than a fucking college professor? That is ridiculous. He has so much going on. I mean, he probably has a really, really good memory too, but I mean, it's just like, yes, he didn't exclusively debate college kids. He went to college campuses. The professors came up and absolutely got fucking dunked on.
Up, just offer up $10,000 to the school for whatever cause of their choice, to their institution, and reach out and, oh, Lane, sorry, your phone locked. Where's Lane? Your phone, I have to read this off his phone because I just had to get the list. Can you hold it open? All right. And so we have reached out, and any Tom, Dick, Harry, or Karen who will respond and take the $10,000 offered up as a charitable contribution in any of the departments of political science or liberal arts at the University of Texas, at Kansas University, UCLA, Cal, Berkeley, Stanford, USC, Penn State, Columbia, NYU, Harvard, Boston University, any of their esteemed professors in these schools who are willing to have a debate with a college dropout comedian. They can name the time, the place, pick the moderator, and the rules. It should be an...
Yes! Oh, fuck. This is cool. This is good. This should be good, man.
Easy day out. And I encourage anyone who has any friends at these institutions, or if you have an association, to encourage their professors to do so. Or we can have a civil dialogue and maybe get to the root cause as to why you've been failed as students. You've been failed. It's time to go straight to the top to the people who failed you. We'll announce this publicly and post this list publicly. And I'll update you guys if anyone reaches back out. No luck yet. I very much appreciate you doing the work that your professors in many cases refuse to do. Thank you.
Nice, man. That's nice.
All right, now back to the regular programming, the changing of minds. Meet.
Yeah, winning. Adam Wiley. Fuck yeah. I'm be interested, guys. I don't just mean to give the impression that I think he's gonna be fucking up these professors like Charlie Kirk probably could have. But this will make for some very interesting debates. I'm excited to see what comes out from this. I really am.
Andrew. So I'm asserting that today,
look at all of Steven Crowder's security. Hold on. We're 5418. Look at his. Hold on. Let me go down here. Look at his security. They got all their faces blurred out.
All right, now back to the regular programming, the changing of mind.
Look at all these guys. These are all Mossad agents. Look at these guys. This is IDF right here.
Meet Andrew.
So I'm asserting that today, by and large, the tone, the temperature in this country, the majority of political violence is coming from the left. And it's reaching a really serious boiling point. I've been observing it for a long time. Yeah. Doesn't mean that violence doesn't occur across the board, but predominantly from the left. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah, so one thing, I'm curious where you think that political violence comes from, just kind of as a general.
Where the violence on the left comes from?
Just where political violence, comes from, or on the left specifically, either way.
Yeah, well, I can tell you where it comes from on the left exactly.
Look at this fucking Quasimodo. Look at this fucking guy.
Yeah. I can tell you because I've been on the receiving end many times. So the reason I stopped doing Change My Mind for years is
this guy's head is shaped like Tyler Robinson's head.
Because every single time out, there was some kind of attack. Yeah. For exactly the kind of conversation we're having right now.
Right.
And the ones that you've seen. I don't come on to instigate, but some people yell at me. Rocks, concrete milkshakes, Molotov cocktails, flashing tires, doxing. With Charlie Kirk, you're just seeing one that got through. He had all the security before he was assassinated in an act of leftist terrorism because there were many close calls.
Yeah.
So that then empirically, the recent polls from YouGov, from Reuters show that a majority of those on the left believe that political violence is somewhat to completely acceptable. Yeah. In contrast to the right, so I'll address leftist political violence. If you refer to your political opposition, Donald Trump and his voters, as fascist, compare them to Nazis, say they're racist, they support oppression of blacks through the police force, say that they want to commit genocide and erase trans people because they don't believe that children should transition or biological men and women's sports, they're sexist, homophobic, and say, for example, specifically on Donald Trump, and this is the entire DNC, as far as national figureheads, saying, and you won't have another election again, because he won't give up the reins of power. If I believe that, I'd be in the street with a gun.
Right. So
dude, this is what I'm talking about. I said, guys, you know what? I wish I didn't vote in this last election. I really wish I didn't. I would be bragging so much if I just didn't vote. But you know, it's neither here nor there at this point. But I can at least say from the jump, regardless of everything that happened leading up to the election and who I voted for and whatever, I always said JD Vance was a bad pick. I always said it's so stupid. JD Vance was critical of Trump. JD Vance looks like a possessed doll. He's like, you know, why is this election so weird? Why are the VP picks fucking weird? Tim Walz and JD Vance were like nearly the same amount of weird, but in different ways. And I don't think people could pick up on the fucking like the CIA weird vibes from JD Vance. They're not as easy. They're more subtle than Tim Walz with his fucking flamboyant hands going all over the place. And, you know, anyway, dude, Steven Crowder, has anyone mentioned, I guess no one's reminded him. This is why I need to go debate Steven Crowder. Bro, how are you going to say this is the left's fault? Right-wing people called Trump Hitler too. JD Vance, the current vice president in office with Donald Trump, said that Donald Trump was Hitler-like. JD Vance, Donald Trump's vice president pick, compared Donald Trump to Hitler. And we're still going to have this retarded conversation that it's the left's fault. Are you going to also say it's JD Vance's fault? Or are you just going to conveniently ignore that?
So I guess from my view,
do you understand that? Would you agree with that kind of premise?
No, I understand where that's coming from. And I think really like what has changed recently is there's been more hatred in politics. I guess we kind of agree with that.
I think there's been increasing violence. I think that progressivism necessarily is predicated on divisiveness and hatred. I don't think
it's funny. I know I'm too like I get like too debate brain, but it's so funny to me when people genuinely come up. And look, there's a small crowd because this wasn't a big planned thing. He said he did this last minute for security concerns and whatever, just a pop-up type thing. So there's only such a, you know, certain amount of pool of people to really pick from, or that would come up and want to debate or whatever. And a lot of these people are just genuinely like honest people that are like, oh, I want to have this conversation. But it is funny just seeing people that don't really know come up to people like Steven Crowder or Charlie Kirk or Destiny and say, give them their argument and think that it's like, or they'll start in to like dissect a point and they think they have like, oh, here's an interesting thing I've thought of, and they'll say it. And it's just like, it's something that I just know these guys, Steven Crowder just going like, can you agree violence has just gotten, you know, really politics has just in general gotten really violent. It's just like, dude, Steven Crowder is not going to concede anything like that. He's going to say it is the left.
that's the case with conservatism.
Interesting. I guess what part of
it's not conservatives, even though JD Vance said Donald Trump is Hitler. It's not conservatives.
Progressivism, do you think comes with that? I mean, like
racial division, gender division, classist division.
Right.
I mean, you don't see the right saying, hey, these people are fascists and they want to genocide you.
No.
But except JD Vance did, Donald Trump's vice president. He did say that.
So, and I think it's necessary because, for example, leftism, socialism, right? You seize the means of production and distribution.
Right. Yeah.
That requires violence. Lowering marginal tax rates does not.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there are forms of leftist ideology that have violence inherent in them, but I think there are also a lot of political left. For example, my siblings, we get along like fantastic, especially in an age where people lose relationships over politics. I'm really thankful to not have that be the case. Have two siblings on the left. Both my parents are moderate political right. And
can I ask you, are your siblings like, would you say significantly left?
I'd say policy-wise, fairly so.
How did they respond to the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Oh, they were like fully in support of my devastation at that fact.
How did they respond to so many people on their side celebrating the Charlie Kirk
No, they were fully against that. And
well, that's why you can be friends with them.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, I guess I'll just explain my view a little bit. As someone who's a man of faith and trying to kind of get less into the political sphere and more towards like how can I be bold in my faith, I don't see political violence as the problem. I see it as the symptom. And I think the problem is our lack of religion. And I think in order to then solve that problem, we need to kind of tackle it from the roots. And I know one thing you talked about, for example, is
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think like we see a lot of crime in inner cities, right? Especially with young kids. That's not the problem. The problem is fatherlessness, right? And the crime is kind of the symptom of that. I think I kind of see this in the same vein, right? Where we see this increasing political violence, and we have the question of like, how do we solve it, right? And I know I heard you kind of talking before, and you said like, well, it's on the left to solve it. But I think
what was that?
That it's on the people on the left to solve the violence problem.
No, I said it's incumbent upon them to take accountability for it, and just even because I want you to continue, if I may address your point. Yes, I do believe that godlessness is the root. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
The root cause of it. Okay. Who seeks to replace faith in the Father with the state? Who seeks to replace God with the state?
I mean, I think it's the ideology of atheism more so than it is.
No, it's a political ideology of the left. You look into Marx and Engels.
I mean, that was a symptom now.
Well, but that is the goal of leftist policies, right? Is replace God with the state. The state is your God.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the root of the left.
In some vein, I think that's true. But again, I think religion comes first, and then politics outgrow from that. And it's interesting. So one thing, when Charlie was shot, I was devastated, especially as a young.
They're arguing over which way the causation goes here. I get it. I get what they're getting at.
Man, it kind of really hit close down because I was like, he was like an older brother to me, right? Like it was like just like a shocking moment. And like seeing people celebrate it, I was like, they'd celebrate my death too if they cared enough, right? I'm not relevant, but if I was relevant, they'd celebrate my death too.
Yeah.
And I caught myself in the day after. I go, I don't know how we can live with these people. And I'm kind of mad at myself for saying that. And the reason is why? Jesus never lived like that, right? His followers never lived like that, right? They endured persecution as a cost to spread his message. And I think that as either conservatives or people who are followers of Christ, we're called to do the same thing. And I think that it's not necessarily like awful to say something like this, but I think it can also be kind of pragmatically unproductive because I don't think it actually goes to what the root cause is. And I think we want to tackle
No, I'm not
if we want to tackle the root cause, our effort should be on that, right? Should be on spreading Jesus and like his message.
Look, his security guard has the detonator in his hand right now. Look out, Steven Crowder. Look out. They're going to take you out right now.
Sure. Well, I agree with that. We do discuss faith quite a bit. I'm going to show you a Friday Apologetics episode.
Yeah.
But I would say that I would posit that it's misguided.
Okay.
Sell your cloak and buy a sword. Right? Jesus did not ask for his followers to die for their faith as a primary mechanism of spreading the faith. And he did talk about protecting themselves. Jesus conquered death. You can't.
Right.
Now,
BW, what's up, lover? So normal people, fuck, what was the context of this chat message? I want to understand what you're saying. So normal people. I bet that was a real snappy reply to whatever the context was.
I know we all conquer death through salvation, right? But as far as here, at the very different, I think that asking people on the right, especially people who are fathers, mothers, to willingly put ourselves out there.
Oh, his parents. Yeah, this kid's parents. Yeah.
And endure not only violent assault, but assassination. I just don't know how that's going to solve anything. Maybe you would have a point, and I don't know that I would agree theologically, if after the death of Charlie Kirk, if the left, and I've been saying this, the off-ramp for the left was saying, okay, look, we said that these people are fascists. We said that they're Nazis. We said, and people out there, my God, believe them. We're really sorry. We need to tone this down. Instead, you saw a gleeful celebration thereafter. Polls that show a majority of those on the left leave it somewhat to completely acceptable, and then blaming the right for violence and saying, you guys need to tone down the temperature. There is no living with those people in their current state until they change. They need to be redeemed. And I understand they need Christ to redeem them, right? But we can't be sitting ducks.
No, I mean, I don't think it's wrong to defend ourselves, but like if we look at how the apostles taught, right, I think all but one were crucified or exiled for their views, right? Jesus said, not you might undergo persecution. He said you will go under persecution if you follow me, right? I mean, baptism is referred to as joining Jesus in death, right? We have these we have these very strong, either depending on the situation, metaphors or direct instructions that we will undergo persecution. And the reason that we're able to do that is we know that we're saved through Christ, right?
Man, I feel like the Kirk thing. I've said this before. Of that poster, yeah, the left is violent. That is wild, bro. That is crazy. But I guess they have. I don't see where the glass ends and begins in these shots. No pun intended. I think. I guess the back is open. I think he's got glass all at the front of the tent or whatever. So yeah, he's got bulletproof glass up and shit right now. Oh, thanks for the likes on Facebook, whoever that is. Yeah, guys, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new or whatever. Fly's in here. What's up, bro? Fly's FM. What the fuck was I going to say? There was something I was going to say. I don't know if Crowder can debate like Kirk did, but nice to see he's getting back into it. Yeah. No, this is cool. He just announced, too. I don't know if you, how long you've been in here, Flies, but the Crowder doesn't have the zip of Kirk. No, that is true. That's what I was saying, guys. Kirk was really good at addressing the points and closing the fucking conversation out and moving to the next person so we can like move it along here, you know. Of course that it was like you know, it's a double-edged sword, or there's pros and cons to it. It did keep the conversations moving well, and you could address a bunch of different topics and talk to a bunch of different people. But then he would use that same kind of excuse, like when the conversation really wasn't to a point where, you know, no one's conceding or, you know, gaining or losing ground in it, and they're just were butting heads or getting bogged down and whatever. Charlie Kirk could close that out really easy and well in a genuine way. But then I feel like, you know, we've all seen there, and it's mostly in the past, guys, really older clips where someone would bring up, you know, the Israel topic, and he would use that same technique to just shut the conversation down, you know, and it didn't really seem very genuine or whatever. But I don't think I think he probably thought people were just trolling him and being pieces of shit. I bet Charlie Kirk genuinely did think that. So subconsciously, he didn't actually think he was like being dishonest or something by shutting down those questions. What was I was gonna respond to something they said here.
Most beautiful thing, right? And I understand, but this is one thing where I do get off with a lot of modern Christian theology. Right. And I think that you'll probably find more consistent teachings, like in Orthodoxy, for example. And I'm not Orthodox, or even, you know, what traditionally the Catholic Church, I know there's been splinters, is no one is called to die. No one is called to die. I shouldn't say no one. We are not called to die, the primary means of spreading the gospel. And right now, Charlie Kirk, let me put it this way, he was hunted. Yeah. By definition, he was hunted, just as I have been hunted. And your one viral tweet, your one viral video, one post away from being hunted yourself. And for us to say, well, let's just deal with them in love. When you look at systemically, right, we'll use the term the left does. Systemically, people who commit violent crimes against us, they're released on the IOU policy. Yeah. Right? Cashless bail. Hey, you're not fit to stand trial. Think of Irina Zarutska before Charlie Kirk. That guy was out 14 times. George Floyd, I believe, was 6 or 9 times. Yeah. It is an evil, evil ideology that has permeated the halls of our institutions that does need to be dealt with. And I don't think we can deal with that by just turning ourselves into martyrs. I'm willing to be a martyr. Yeah. I don't want to be.
No, I don't think you should necessarily want to be. But I think if we're both looking historically as how the gospel was spread, it was spread for people who were willing to die for the faith.
Sure, willing to die.
In fact, I see it in the same vein as...
Man, Stephen, right? I was named after the first martyr. Right? I'm like, thanks, Mom.
I'm Andrew, so also understand. Yeah. No, I think that... Sorry, just kind of losing my train of thought. But
that's okay, brother. I get it.
Yeah, so both how the gospel was spread historically through people who were martyred, and then also in kind of modern examples, right? A necessary sacrifice of being a man is being willing to die for others, right? It's not that we want to die for others, it's not that we shouldn't defend ourselves, right? I think one key thing is, like, Jesus loved everyone, but the way he loved them was not through being passive, right? I mean, very clearly, the way he loved people was by unequivocally telling them the truth, right? And he didn't back down, right? And it got him killed for telling the truth, right? But he also loved everyone, even those who hated him, right? I mean, he spoke out against the Pharisees, he spoke out against other religious hypocrites, he spoke out against those committing sins, right? And I think the same form of love that he practiced is what we should try to practice within that, because at the end of the day, this violence is going to keep continuing.
Yeah. Do you mean like sitting down at a table and allowing anyone who will discuss it to listen, having a dialogue like this?
Oh, I think you're doing exactly what
because we get killed anyway. Right. You know what else we need to be willing to do? Not just willing to die. Yeah. Willing to fight. Yeah. Willing to kill if it comes to it. I'm not talking about going out and killing people in the streets. I'm talking about you are called to be Christian now, so you're not married. Otherwise, you just moisturize. You are called to protect your family with your sword.
Easy does it there, Haas.
You are called for righteous violence when needed. And people have misconstrued what I've said, where I've said it is time for ruthless, lawful defense. And what I mean by that is I've been attacked so many times at these things where I said, not anymore. We're not going to allow it. I don't know if that milkshake is strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, concrete, or acid. I agree with you. But just like a father who loves his child, you spoil the rod, you spare the child, right? We love this country, and we see an evil permeating it. And speaking truth sometimes is uncomfortable. And we got to keep our chin down and hands up. And so I don't think we have any disagreement. And I don't think that this statement is unproductive. It's the truth, and the truth is merely the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not saying that telling the truth is not productive, but I think at the end of the day, you do have to go to the roots. And even if, let's just say we all carry guns around as Christian and we defend our families, right? If we still allow atheism as an ideology to become widespread because we don't have these conversations, which I think what you're doing right now is exactly what we need. It's totally what Jesus said, right? He talked to everyone, right? He said, I'm here. Come to me.
I don't know if Jesus ever sat down with a self-identified bionic furry, but times changed.
No. But I mean, he talked to this.
No, yeah, I'm about to skip through this. This isn't the most compelling. Is that person a Christian Democrat who is debating, or is this a circle jerk? I'm genuinely confused here. Yeah, I don't know. I think he wants to have a circle jerk. The rest of us want to see a debate. In fact, we're going to skip to the next person. It's late. I might just skip the rest of this. If this guy starts to fucking bore me, we're done with this. What do we got here? Okay.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so you see the conversations thus far, a little of column A, a little of column B. Which ones do you enjoy watching most? Comment below. And by the way, none of this happens without your support. Consider joining Rumble Premium. By clicking the link in the description, you get 100% more of the daily show that we do weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, as well as a whole bunch of other programs and everything ad-free. Let's go on to this next subject. Chris. Chris. I don't know how familiar you are with what this series is, but
first time hearing about it, so I know the meme.
So, I didn't see that one coming. At first, when it happened, I was like, oh, it was just me at a table. Yeah. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not clips and reels and shorts and dunks and gotcha and clickbait. If this conversation is productive and we're both having in good faith, it'll be uploaded in its entirety contextually. It's an opportunity for us to rationalize, to reason our positions on what are viewed as controversial topics. So before I get to the premise, and by the way, you can take this if you want. We always make the sources publicly available. So if you just take that, that's yours. The QR code, you can go check the references. And fact check me in case I'm lying. Because people, I don't know if you know this, people in media do that shit. Could you do me a favor? And just so we agree, kind of read this: political violence, terrorism. This is defined by the current sources being cited out there. And I'll summarize it for people watching. Hopefully we find common ground on the idea. Political violence is when violence is used as a means to a political end. So let's say you vote Democrat and you accidentally hit someone with your car today. Who happens to be a Republican? That's not political violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you go, I'm going to give me a Republican, that would be political violence. We agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm asserting today is, sorry, I know we just touched on it.
Okay.
I'm fine if you're is that by and large, the tone, tenor, temperature right now, certainly in 2025, political violence is coming overwhelmingly from the left. And I think this leads nowhere good unless the course corrects. If you disagree, you're welcome to change my mind.
So I would disagree, one, in the statement that these blanket statements of the left is violent hurts creates a divisiveness and loss of respect. I agree with what you're saying. I've been hearing your stats as well, that yes, it's disproportionately on the left as of late, and the stats I've seen as you find. I think.
So you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Well, would it surprise you that a lot of people don't agree with that? They say well, there's more violence on the right. That's the talking point.
However, even if there is more violence on the right, or even if there is more violence on the left, I think violence as a whole is a problem. But I think you're also going to have violence as you radicalize groups. Regardless.
Sure. May I address that? Just because we are a little bit tight for time right now, I apologize.
Totally.
And I hear about radicalizing a lot. And by the way, the reason for that is, I can fit it on a sign.
You're tight for time because you chit-chat too much, motherfucker. Be more like Charlie Kirk.
And then I provide the context when we sit down. So I'm matching the rhetoric of the left, right? They say the right commits more crime. I go, well, no, actually the left is violent. Then I think I explain it contextually. We hear about radicalizing a lot. So, and I think that does happen. I don't think it's possible to be in a right-wing echo chamber because all of media, all of Hollywood, all of mainstream press, these institutions and academia lean heavily left. I think some people can silo themselves off, but still, people on the right are more aware of the position on the left than vice versa. But we hear about radicalizing. Let me ask you this. Okay, you disagree with that? But let's assume somebody's watching all the right-wing channels. Okay. Is there anything that you can think of?
I disagree with that as well. I think people are definitely up in their own fucking echo chambers on both sides. Bro, the fucking right-wing people, they steer away from those institutions dominated by the left. They fucking watch weird shit.
More radicalizing than a moderate conservative who sat down and spoke peacefully, being politically assassinated as an act of terrorism in cold blood, and then gleefully celebrated thereafter. And we tried to host peaceful memorials to mourn the death of our own, showing up, attacking, desecrating, spitting at every single vigil and memorial, and then blaming the right and saying we need to tone down the temperature. In other words, if you're a young conservative who watched Charlie Kirk, or could have been me, by the way, sitting in that chair because there have been many attempts, I don't think there's anything on earth that could be more radicalizing than that, because the left still kept blaming the right. They didn't take the off-ramp.
Okay, but I would also argue we don't know all the motivations behind why the shooters were.
Sure we do.
Also, we can't. Okay, but it was come out and stated that he was like doing this for left-leaning political reasons far before you could have even known what it was. No. A lot of the statements.
Are you aware that, by the way, this is just because it's relevant, we had a leak under the DOD. So we were my team right here. They were the people who broke the news that there were engravings on the bullet casings. Okay. There were anti-fascists, that were weird trans sort of 4chan type stuff. That's the OWO notice bulge. And the reason it was leaked to us from someone at DOD, DOJ, is because they were concerned that it would be buried. So when we released that, which of course now we know is true, it's been confirmed, we were tarred and feathered as liars and fake purveyors of fake news. So we knew it before anyone else, and I've been following it since. He said it was an act of political violence. He said that he killed Charlie Kirk because he was hateful and fascist. That's enough for me.
Bro, that's crazy. So this is the thing. I think this goes partly too with why Steven Crowder does not want to go conspiracy crazy, is because he's got, man, that concerns me. I'm starting to think Steven Crowder might be compromised. He is straight up pretty much being like, yeah, I have sources at the DOD. It's Erica Kirk's parents who work for the Department of Defense. They sent me evidence that this suspect they have is the right suspect. Give me a break. Holy fuck, man. I don't know, man. That's crazy. I didn't even put that together until actually right now that Erica Kirk's parents are in the Department of Defense, or they did work for that was in that interview where she talked about having, I forget if they were moving to or from, I think it was to Arizona. She was talking about moving to Arizona because her parents were like working for the Department of Defense and had to like work at or go to this location there to work in Arizona. They were offered some position at the DOD. And Steven Crowder is saying, oh, well, we leaked the information about the bullets because we have sources at the DOD. Bro, it's Charlie, or it's Erica Kirk's parents. That's what I think now.
Is wrong. Absolutely. And so I can agree.
We're not wrong. Do we agree that it's pretty clear what the motives are if the person who does it says it?
Yes, if he said it, I mean, you could still
engraved it.
The engraving though isn't necessarily leftist. Like I think you could definitely make an argument that it is leftist, but you could also make an argument. One, you could easily make an argument that you wanted to add division.
Shooting Charlie Kirk with a bullet engraving that says "fuck fascism" when Charlie Kirk, and by the way, yours truly, have been accused of being fascist for a decade. And
Fuck, I was on a different. Hold on, what did that little fact check say? Hey, fascist catch. Yeah, so I knew what he said was wrong. It says, hey, fascist catch.
Accused of being fascist for a decade, and then you read the writings of him saying he's hateful. That seems pretty clear to me. In other words, you sent a bullet with the engraving, fuck fascism, and the person, people said Charlie Kirk was a fascist. This person believed it, shot him because he believed he was a fascist. Is that not clear?
That is clear. What I would say, though, is that doesn't necessarily mean it's far leftist. But even if in this case it is far leftist, I still don't think...
Would we agree that the reasoning for the murder was the rhetoric of the left? They are the ones who accuse people like myself and Charlie Kirk of being fascist in comparisons to Hitler. If they weren't doing it, no one would think we're fascist.
I would agree that the rhetoric on both sides, though.
No, not on both sides. We don't accuse the left of being fascist and Hitler.
I agree. That's not necessarily. I think that rhetoric in general, this far push.
You use different terms. Yeah, of course you don't call them Hitler and fascist. You guys say that they're demonic and satanic and soulless and all of that shit. You use different. Yes, you use different terms, Steven Crowder. Congratulations.
We are pushing so heavily towards us versus them, sitting on both sides, on both the left and the right, that the other guy is evil and the other guy is wrong. And
I think I need to debate Steven Crowder. Guys, I'd probably get my ass handed to me with a lot of shit, but I think this whole thing is retarded. I don't give a fuck who at the DOD leaked him information. That does not convince me that this whole story, the narrative that the FBI has been going along with the Charlie Kirk incident, just because Steven Crowder is getting leaked info from the Department of Defense doesn't mean shit to me. That does not mean that it's real. But to Steven Crowder, when I feel like I understand this, like I can empathize with this. That if you thought that you had a reliable source at the Department of Defense, guys, for real, if I thought that I had somebody at the Department of Defense feeding me information, I would want to assume and promote the idea that it's good, valid information, right? It would be tempting to not go down the conspiracy route when you have actual people within the government that are supposed to be giving you the official story exclusively. We're leaking this to you. You'll be our, our connection to the media. Dude, I don't know. That, to me, that does not give me good vibes from Steven Crowder, that I get it where it feels like, and look, Alex Jones says this shit too, and I don't trust Alex Jones. But like when people start talking about that they have sources at whatever agency that are leaking them information, bro, that to me, I guess like I'm too conspiracy minded, but that I'm suspicious of that. When someone starts saying that, I go, yeah, how do you know you're not being used? How do you know you aren't an actual tool? Like a tool. They're using you to sway the public with some, making people think you have some secret inside info, and then people digest it as like, is this really like some crazy shit, or is this faked? And then the government comes out and confirms it, and it's like, oh wow, Steven Crowder is an official source of the truth now. Let's go to him. And I don't buy that for a second.
It's true of a lot of both people that I know personally and in general, and we gain nothing from an us versus them mentality. Ever. The only time you can get benefit and value, that's the whole point of your show, is to build a relationship with somebody and talk through your problems. And it's when you recognize that
build a relationship based on truth, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't believe in linking hands with people who celebrate the assassination. And the problem is that 62% of those on the left, 62% YouGov poll after Charlie Kirk was killed, 62% on the left believed that it was somewhat to completely acceptable political violence. 77% of self-identified conservatives said no. Snap poll before Charlie Kirk was killed, 6-1, the left supports violence over the right. Another poll from Rutgers after Donald Trump, right, the attempted assassination, over 60% on the left supported. You don't find that from conservatives against
Bro, and it's sad too. The conservatives are getting tricked into it's political violence, and they're getting tricked into getting whipped up into being defensive about the left and everything. And then the left got tricked into taking credit for taking out Charlie Kirk. The crazy people on both sides are just completely, fucking up their reputations with this event. It's crazy.
Kamala Harris, over 60%. Firebombing Teslas, over 60%.
When really it was probably the fucking feds.
Assessed. So in other words, you do have to look at the rhetoric, you do have to look at the acts of violence, and you do have to look at the preponderance of evidence, the totality of the polls that shows one side of the political aisle justifies, supports political violence as a means to an end. And that is the left.
About January 6th?
Let me give you some context for January 6th.
January 6th got brought up, guys. I'm telling you, this is a go-to for Destiny and his people. I bet this guy has listened to Destiny because that's exactly all the. I bet this guy watched the Piers Morgan thing with Destiny and Posobiec and fucking who else was it? Andrew Wilson. Because this is exactly where the lefties go with this, that watch Destiny stuff. They take his same talking points. I got to memorize just like you do, buddy.
Realize that more people at ICE facilities in the state of Texas have been killed.
Yeah, Feds Flies FM. Fedsurrection mentioned. Yeah, guys, all of these events, it's always the fucking feds.
Left-wing violence in the last week than all of January 6th combined.
Yes, there weren't deaths or killing during January 6th, major ones, because it was the...
Imagine that, guys. The violence on the left and the right, each case, all the cases associate with the feds. Isn't that funny how that works out?
My point is, why do you reach...
There's feds at January 6th, and the feds are currently bald-faced lying to us about what happened to Charlie Kirk, too. He has magic bones. They're going with that now. God gave Charlie Kirk magic bones, and he was a human shield for the other people in the audience. He was God's human shield. He sent Charlie Kirk down to earth just to be a human shield for all the little college kids that were down there that day. What a blessing.
Back to January 6th for whataboutism. Right up the street, you have more violence than January 6th. Also, and we haven't gone 3 days in the last 2 weeks without leftist violence. In other words, there's no equivalency. What about January 6th?
I agree, but however, also you have to recognize that for one, the aspects of ICE, I think that is a major issue, a major problem. If we could have time to go into that.
I know we don't have, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry because they're
okay, easy to go into. But like that right there is a major problem as well. And I think there's something to be said with ICE and all that, the lack of due process given to immigrants and deported.
Okay, so what you just said, I just want you to bear with me here. That kind of rhetoric, that there's a problem with ICE, no due process, people who are here illegally are not entitled to the same due process as American citizens, and that kind of rhetoric is why people shoot up ICE facilities. They're doing their job. A slight change in deportation policies, and by the way, I mean very slight, because Barack Obama did it too. He had to give speeches on it because he was like, guys, we have to deport some people. A slight change in border policy is not something that warrants any kind of justification for the fomenting violence that we see from the left. ICE is doing their job, and illegal aliens are not entitled to due process. They never have it.
Constitution peoples in the U.S. are entitled to due process.
To American citizens. To natural American citizens, naturalized American citizens. Okay. Someone happens to set foot in our country, if they're a terrorist, they're entitled to due process, as opposed to, and we're not, by the way, executing them, we're deporting them, we're sending them back to the country borders.
Yes, because that is what makes America amazing, is that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Where are you getting this idea that anyone who enters the country is entitled to our constitutional rights and due process? Where are you getting that?
People in the U.S.
But where are you getting this idea? In other words, that's not anywhere in our laws and our founding and our constitution that anyone who comes into this country illegally is entitled to due process and our constitutional rights. They're not. Where are you getting that?
In the we the people under the U.S.
They are not we the people. They're not Americans. They're not allowed to be here legally. Should violent criminals be allowed to vote on law that relates to crime?
Be allowed to have due process.
Why? Where are you getting it?
Because of the fact.
Aside from you feel that they should, what's the basis for it?
Because that's how the Constitution is stated.
It's not.
Is that the people
it is not. That's what I'm saying. So where are you basing it if not that? But the problem is you have people saying, hey, ICE are breaking up families. Hey, they're violating human rights, civil rights. Hey, you know what? Let me put it this way. And we do have to get, if I believed that Joe Biden, if I believe what the left believes about Donald Trump and me as a voter, if I believe that Joe Biden was rounding up and killing like
this is an interesting debate. I would love to see some really legally this is the you actually need some like civil rights and like immigration attorneys and stuff to weigh in on this conversation here, because this is an interesting conversation. I've heard Bubba's, and again, but these are like not civil rights, but the civil attorneys that I have heard sort of weigh in on some of this on Bubba the Love Sponge's show when they're talking about this. And this is it's a weird gray area talking about what rights are actually afforded to or given to illegal immigrants that are in this country illegally. Right. So like, you would say like, oh, well, he's arguing they should have right to due process. And Steven Crowder's like, oh, well, the Constitution, all the Bill of Rights, that doesn't apply to illegal immigrants. Should they be allowed to vote if they're illegal immigrants that are criminals just because it's a human being in the United States? It's like, where do the like rights drop off? Because you can't just like kill an illegal immigrant. You can't just kill one and go, oh, well, they don't have rights afforded to them by the Constitution because they're not a legal citizen. So where does it drop off? People sort of like, I legally don't know. But when people debate this, it seems like everybody kind of arbitrarily has like their own standard of where rights for a human being drop off as to regarding whether you're a citizen or not. So yeah, we need some really, I wonder if there's actually some good debates on this, because I really haven't heard this nailed down. So I know some of this has come up because Destiny, I don't know if they're not really that friendly anymore, but he was really close with that guy Pisco, does debates too. He debated Alex Stein. A lot of people in my chat might be familiar with Alex Stein. I know a lot of you are. And Pisco debated Alex Stein. I forget what their topics were, but that he's an attorney. I don't know what his his specialty is, but yeah, this would be an interesting conversation to really to hammer out.
Christian then. If I believe that Joe Biden was a fascist, if I believe that Joe Biden was committing genocide, if I believe that Joe Biden was doing all of this, would strip us of all of our foundational fundamental rights and would never relinquish the reins of power or have a democratic election again, I'd be in the street with a gun. Those on the left believe every single one of those premises about Donald Trump and his voters. So you understand why there's a violence?
Also, again, I would say that
just like the beliefs about ISIS.
That is a generalization again. Because you're saying every single one of the voters on the left. Everybody on the left believes every single
one. I believe a majority of people on the left believe that. They believe what you believe about ICE. These are men doing their job. A slight change in border policy, that little rationalization leads to violence. Just like Charlie Kirk was a fascist and was engraved in a bullet.
So here's the other side. I absolutely agree with you that like we should not be labeling people as necessarily things. They have beliefs. Okay. There are beliefs that I do not think Charlie Kirk should be shot. Absolutely.
I know, and I know that, but too many on the left do.
No, absolutely. But I still believe that like some of his beliefs were homophobic. But I'm not saying that he was a homophobe. And I think that's such a major thing that people have beliefs and we can talk through them about that.
But we can't though. We do have to live on this. We can't because we get killed. That's the point. When the left, so here, when you say don't label, when people, and the left says tone it down from sitting at a table and having a conversation with anyone who will listen, because they took his life anyway and they tried to take mine. Only the left does that. No one on the left is afraid or has to have $250,000 worth of security to have conversations. We need to address the problem. It's the reason for crime stats. I agree with you. We should sit down and have conversations. That's why I'm having it. Most people can't because we get killed. And that's a fundamental difference.
I still...
I'll let you close. I just Russian sound, so.
I still disagree. Okay. I still disagree that it is an inherently only...
I didn't say only, I said by and large. It's not proportionate. Far more violence from the left than the right. And the means of enforcement is violent. The means of enforcement from the left is violence.
I think there's also something to be said on the point that there's further oppression being pushed from the right on basic liberties, but that is more violence.
If we had time to get to it, I would, but taking away our guns, taking away our speech, taking away our kids if we don't transition them, that's the left's platform, and you find it from every single major leftist, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all the way down. It'd be tough. It would be a conversation I'd love to have, but they're booting us because they want me to get shot, which kind of makes the point. Chris?
I would argue the inverse, not at the shot, but great to meet you.
Thanks for being a good sport. Sorry we had to rush. Maybe next time we can do it for longer. And please take that and peruse those. Absolutely. Okay. God bless.
I bet I could have a good debate with Crowder. I would drop the shtick a little bit and try to actually have a good conversation, maybe, because I don't know. It's interesting. So I'm eager to see. We played the second court appearance of Tyler Robinson. When was that? Last night, I think. So they're talking about an absolute plethora of digital discovery. They're saying all of this digital evidence that the prosecution has that they're going to turn over in discovery. I'm eager to see if that becomes public data that we can kind of comb through ourselves and see what they're alleging and how it could be so voluminous is the wording they used. Voluminous digital evidence. I'm interested to see this. Because, yeah, at this point, the evidence that we have so far, like I said, guys, it seems like actually every little fucking thing, every bit of evidence that has been, slowly dripped like an IV drip over time, every little bit that comes out and day by day, people analyze this and that and compare it to this and the timestamps and this. It's just like every little bit of the official narrative is just like questionable. At bare minimum, every little thing that has come out is like questionable. The most solid thing, which is still questionable, is like the text messages, right? And I told you guys, like I was saying, it's weird. Like Candace Owens is talking about how there's some people that are thinking maybe he's gonna be Epsteined. You guys know what I mean by that, Epsteined. And dude, this whole time that he's been communicating with these texts, it might all be bullshit. And like I was saying, part of this whole story was that his parents, at one point, his dad was trying to get a hold of him and he wouldn't answer the phone. And what he said in these other texts that he claimed he texted his dad back. He didn't want to talk to him on the phone because he knew he would be mad because his dad recognized the rifle on the news. That right there is sketchy to me because that makes me think, that is even more, that lends even more to the possibility that someone else, give or take the feds or Mossad or who the fuck ever, some other people in a group, maybe Tyler was actually in a group of, I would be willing to accept a theory that he was actually in some kind of organized left-wing group. At this point, the issue is I just know that the feds are lying about this. This is my problem, and that's what makes me suspicious and think that maybe it has something to do with some agency and this isn't just genuine, organic political violence, because a lot of it just does not make sense. But, anyway, with the text message thing, if he's not answering his phone to his dad, his parents think that they're texting him and telling him, hey, bro, turn yourself in. I recognize the rifle, this and that. And he won't answer the phone. They don't know who they're actually talking to. And then Candace was also making a point that the feds told the parents that they need to go into like witness protection and stuff so that they don't get targeted. It's just like the whole thing is just like there's just at every little step of the way, it seems like it gets more suspicious as more information comes out, and just like it gets just weird. So yeah, man, I don't fucking know. I have some other Kirk stuff saved to go over. I'm not going to do it tonight. It's already 10:30 and I really got to get to bed at a decent time. But yeah, guys, thank you everybody. Thank you for coming to hang. Thank you for participating in the chat. Fucking who knows what the fuck we're going to get into tomorrow. I could catch up on some Kirk stuff, but I have some other unrelated stuff saved that we could get to as well. So we'll see what I'm feeling like tomorrow. But yeah, guys, I got is today the 1st? Yeah, it's October 1st, guys. I got to change my background. I got to put some Halloween stuff up. I'm going to have at least a skeleton and a few bats back there behind me, something. So look forward to that. But yeah, I got a bunch of my Halloween stuff up. I could maybe go show you guys. No, I'm not going to unplug and all that. But yeah, guys, we'll see. I think I'm probably going to do a party this year. I don't care if it's not that. Last year, it was a complete dud. Dude, those hurricanes hit Florida, and a third of the people I invited basically had their houses destroyed. So it was just, it sucked. But I was prepared for that. I didn't go crazy buying food and all that as much last year because I could just tell it was going to suck. But I should be doing it this year. It looks like we're not going to get killed by weather modification. So yeah, I got a bunch of my stuff up already, and I'm saying I'm over halfway done. But yeah, I'm going to mow the yard one more time this Saturday, and then and get all my my yard stuff up. So yeah, guys, if you're familiar with the chat, if you're up in the chat and you're in, the Tampa area, maybe DM me if you want to come to the party. I don't know. We're looking to maybe do a blowout this year. I'm going to lock my cats in that other room and we're going to get crazy. Okay? All right, lovers. Tomorrow I will see you. I'll be in the Bubba Army chat at some point, even though my mornings have been crazy. I haven't been able to chat much, but I'll be up in there in the morning. That's the Bubba Army channel. Starts at 6 a.m. Eastern time to 10 a.m. Eastern time. Then at 6 p.m., our lineup for the evening tomorrow, we've got Scott Starbird at 6. Then Alex Stein, our boy, Prime Time with Alex Stein, going live at 7 p.m. And he's got some interesting stuff on the horizon. So keep up with Alex Stein. His Blaze contract is running up. Things are about to get wild. Okay? I heard he's doing stuff with Owen Schroyer or something. So we're going to definitely talk about some of that on the stream. And then, after Alex Stein at 7, I go on at 8 p.m. So, yeah, I'll see you then, lovers. Everybody take care. Thank you all for the support. Love ya. Mwah.